Chapter 1850. Complete Annihilation. Chapter 1850. Complete Annihilation. On Dragon Abyss Star, be it Heavenly Fire Palace or other powerful factions, none of them had the chance to come into contact with high-quality cultivation techniques and secret skills. The strongest cultivation techniques that the major factions could cultivate were only high-quality light grades. Black-grade cultivation techniques were only available to some of the commanders and immortals of Dragon Abyss City. Earth-grade cultivation techniques were something that even the City Lord of Dragon Abyss City might not be able to come into contact with, let alone the cultivators of the major factions. That was the reason why Zhongli was so shocked when she saw the gigantic fireball. Even the commanders on the city walls and the guards of Dragon Abyss City were shocked, let alone her. Greed flashed through the eyes of many Dragon Abyss City guards and they were tempted. If this cultivation technique of the Tao of Fire was truly Earth-grade, it would be an irresistible attraction for them. At that moment, everyone on the city wall had yet to realize that the fireball that Su Zimo condensed was not the final form of the immortal art. Beneath Dragon Abyss City, the black-scale fiend wolves trembled in fear from the dragon phoenix roar and did not dare to get up. Thousands of cultivators from the evil wolf army leaped down one after another and roared, charging towards Su Zimo murderously. However, when Su Zimo's Samadhi Dao fire fused into the fireball, the many evil wolf army soldiers stopped in their tracks. It was not out of fear, but because they truly could not take another step forward. The gigantic fireball at the front was like a blazing sun. It was red and burned with flames, emitting a terrifying heat. The sweat on the bodies of many evil wolf army soldiers evaporated the moment they seeped out. They could already feel a sharp pain on their faces and their lips were dry, as though their bloodlines were about to be incinerated. The small group of evil wolf army soldiers that were charging at the front was in an even worse state and could not stop in time. At that moment, the armor of the evil wolf army soldiers melted and turned into scorching molten metal that flowed down their bodies slowly. Oh! The evil wolf army soldiers let out tragic cries and smoke billowed from their bodies. Flames burst forth from the bodies of the evil wolf army soldiers in the scorching molten metal, and they were burned to ashes in a few breaths. Just as the many evil wolf army soldiers were hesitating, the fourth boss suddenly shouted coldly, "There's so many of us. With just a single immortal art, divine power or dermic treasure from each of us, we'll be able to shatter that fireball." The many evil wolf army soldiers reacted one after another and conjured their immortal arts, summoning their dermic treasures, ready to strike. "Kill!" The fourth boss ordered. Boom, boom, boom. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Immortal arts surged and divine powers descended. Dermic treasures tore through the void and shot towards the gigantic fireball in front of them. Everyone's only goal was to shatter the fireball. Su Zimo smirked coldly and hollered softly, "Good timing!" Before his sentence was finished, Su Zimo pushed with both hands and rolled the gigantic fireball towards the evil wolf army. At the same time, his glabella shone and a scarlet flame burst forth, entering the gigantic fireball. Essence Spirit Dao Fire. The Kacharati Dao Fire was formed. To be precise, apart from the flames of the Green Lotus Essence Spirit, there was also the power of the Dragon Phoenix Essence Spirit's flames. The overall power had increased exponentially. The moment the fireball collided with the many divine powers, immortal arts and dermic treasures, it expanded more than 10 times and the temperature rose rapidly as flames surged into the skies. Instantly, it was as though there were no other living beings in the world, only a blazing sun. The Kacharati Dao fire was formed and illuminated the entire night sky like daylight. The fireball expanded dozens of times and devoured the hundreds of evil wolf army soldiers closest to it. Before the evil wolf army soldiers could react, they were burned into nothingness by the fireball and their essence spirits were destroyed. Pest! On the city wall, many cultivators were shocked and dumbfounded. Nobody expected that the fireball formed by the 3 balls of flames earlier on was not the peak of the immortal art's power. The current fireball was many times stronger than the one earlier on. Zhongli was completely speechless and had a lost expression. She could only stare at the scene beneath the city in disbelief. Could that immortal art be a high-quality Earth-grade or... Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Zhongli shook her head and did not dare to continue thinking. Yan Fei had a grim expression as he whispered, Given the power displayed by that cultivation technique, it's probably at least a high-quality Earth-grade cultivation technique. Furthermore, there's a high chance it's a Heaven-grade cultivation technique. At that point, the crowd was in an uproar. Heaven-grade cultivation techniques were almost legendary treasures, and only the royalty of the Great Gene country would possess such powerful cultivation techniques. Impossible. Commander Liu said resolutely. What sort of a treasure is a Heaven-grade cultivation technique? It's not something that a Grade 5 Black Immortal can come into contact with. Notwithstanding the fact that he can't come into contact with it, even if he's given it to cultivate, he won't be able to comprehend it. His body won't be able to withstand it either. Even so, Commander Liu's gaze turned fervent. No matter what, even if that immortal art was not Heaven-grade, it was definitely Earth-grade. If he could cultivate that immortal art to greater mastery, wouldn't he be able to possess combat strength that could kill above his level as well? Retreat! Hurry and retreat! The third boss had already realized that something was amiss and shouted at the top of his lungs. However, it was already too late. The thousands of evil wolf army soldiers attacked, and many immortal arts, divine powers and dermic treasures tore through the air, covering the skies. No matter how strong Su Zimo's Kachirati Dao fire was, it could not withstand that power. The gigantic fireball was shattered by the combined forces of the 10,000-strong evil wolf army. At that moment, the calamity had just begun. The fireball split into pieces and turned into countless flames that scattered everywhere into the crowd like flowers. Even the Grade 6 Black Immortals of the evil wolf army that were struck by the flames could not withstand it and were burned to ashes on the spot, dying without corpses. Countless flames formed a gigantic sea of flames that engulfed the many evil wolf army soldiers. Oh! Countless evil wolf army soldiers struggled, shrieked, ran and cried for help in the sea of flames. It was like a fiery hell. Countless living beings struggled within that purgatory, but none of them could ever escape. On the city wall, many cultivators looked pale with a hint of fear in their eyes. The fact that a Grade 5 Black Immortal could release such methods was truly terrifying. The eyes of the third and fourth bosses widened and their faces turned pale. They did not advance and were not injured by the Kachirati Dao fire. However, even at the edge of the scorching sea of flames, the two of them still felt chills. It was over. Everything was over. The 10,000-strong evil wolf army was almost completely annihilated by that terrifying flame. Through the sea of flames, the two of them looked at the green figure in midair opposite them, as though he was a fiend that had crawled out of hell. Chapter 1851. Divine Might. Chapter 1851. Divine Might. On the city wall. All the cultivators who saw that were shocked. The evil wolf army had dominated the Dragon Abyss Star for many years. As one of the four great bandits, they had even destroyed 3 major factions. They were ferocious and cruel, killing people like flies. They had never suffered such a huge loss. The reason why the 2 bosses of the evil wolf army mobilized such a large force and led an army of 10,000 to deal with a Grade 5 Black Immortal personally was because they wanted to establish their dominance without any mishaps. However, nobody expected this situation to happen the moment the battle broke out. No matter. That was also her worry. If she and the blue-dressed woman could think of it, the other factions could as well, and so could the 2 bosses of the evil wolf army. Under normal circumstances, releasing the Kachirati Dao fire with all his might would indeed take a huge toll on Su Zimo's essence spirit. However, no one knew that Su Zimo's essence spirit was not at the level 5 Black Essence realm, but level 7. He cultivated the Prajna Nirvana Sutra and fused the Dragon Phoenix and Green Lotus essence spirits, coupled with the power of illumination and nether glow. His essence spirit was even more condensed and terrifying than ordinary Grade 7 Black Immortals. The release of the Kachirati Dao fire did not affect him much. The sea of flames gradually faded. Some of the Grade 6 Black Immortals in the evil wolf army were charred black and disfigured. Relying on their trump cards and life-saving methods, they managed to survive. The 2 bosses had grim expressions and made a rough count. There were only a few hundred people left from the evil wolf army that survived. Most of the evil wolf army died in the sea of flames. That fire burned the army of 10,000 to less than 1,000 people. More than half of the 10,000 black scale fiend wolves were dead or injured as well. The remaining wolves had long dispersed and fled without a trace. The remaining hundreds of evil wolf army soldiers were almost all severely injured as well. The fire penetrated their bodies and all of them sat on the ground, coughing black dust with frightened expressions. They had already lost their combat strength. It was way too tragic. Even if a huge battle broke out with the major factions of the Dragon Abyss Star, the evil wolf army would not end up in such a state. But now, everything was all because of a single person's attacks. No. The third boss's eyes were widened in rage as he roared with bloodshot eyes. I'm going to kill you and use your blood to pay respects to my dead evil wolf brothers. The third boss wielded his golden maces with both hands and grit his teeth, charging towards Su Zimo with a menacing expression. He was worried that if Su Zimo roared again, the black scale fiend wolf he was riding on would be scared off and become his burden. Therefore, he decided not to use it. The fourth boss's expression was cold as ice. Without saying anything, he floated down from the black scale fiend wolf's back as well and strode forward. Gripping the handle of the saber at his waist with his right hand, he bent down slightly and sped towards Su Zimo. Humph! Su Zimo sneered and stood in midair, looking down at the third boss who was charging over. You still want to kill me? Today, I'll let the two of you die beneath Dragon Abyss City. Swoosh! In a flash, Su Zimo burst forth and swooped down. Die! The third boss was fearless as he raised the golden mace in his palm and channeled his blood chi, smashing it towards Su Zimo who was charging down. Su Zimo was still in midair when his glabella shone and a bronze square tripod flew out. He reached out and grabbed the bronze square tripod, swinging it in a semicircular manner towards the fourth boss's golden maces. Clang! The golden mace collided against the bronze square tripod with an ear-piercing sound. A visible shockwave burst forth between the two dermic treasures and spread in all directions. Su Zimo did not use his blood chi this time round for fear of his Green Lotus bloodline being recognized. Even so, with the burst power of his dive, the strength of the Green Lotus body as well as the bronze square tripod, he still had the upper hand in this clash. Su Zimo descended from the skies like a god with an unparalleled might. The third boss shuddered and took half a step back. A tremendous force arrived and his entire foot sank into the ground. The third boss's eyes were filled with shock. He could not imagine that this seemingly skinny body could release such a terrifying, ferocious and savage power. Again! Without giving the third boss a chance to catch his breath, Su Zimo raised the bronze square tripod and smashed down once more. The third boss could only swing his other golden mace to receive it. Clang! Another loud bang sounded. The third boss grunted dully and his teeth loosened, causing fresh blood to flow. His arms trembled slightly and ached. Instinctively, his gaze landed on his golden mace and his pupils constricted. The lines on his golden maces were flattened after the two collisions with that battered bronze square tripod. The third boss did not know that if it was any other weapon, such as sabers, spears, swords and halberds, they would have been snapped by the bronze square tripod. Chapter 1852. I'll take your life. Chapter 1852. I'll take your life. The third boss of the evil wolf army specializes in body tempering and has immense strength. To think that although Su Zimo looks extremely weak, he's not disadvantaged against the third boss of the evil wolf army. A commander of Dragon Abyss City exclaimed. Another person said in a deep voice, I'm guessing that this lad has also cultivated some powerful body tempering technique. Otherwise, there's no way he could have crossed 2 levels to fight against a grade 7 black immortal. Although that person did not say it explicitly, many people could guess that the grade of this body tempering cultivation technique was definitely not low. Even if he has some brute force, it's useless. The fourth boss of the evil wolf army's saber technique is sinister and crafty. It's very difficult for him to defend against the two of them together. The moment he said that, a change happened on the battlefield beneath Dragon Abyss City. After the 2 consecutive collisions between Su Zimo and the third boss, the fourth boss had already arrived beside Su Zimo. Clang! The saber left his body and slashed towards Su Zimo's neck with a cold glint. Nobody could see the appearance of the saber clearly. However, the saber flashed at an extremely fast speed and arrived almost instantly. Kill! At the same time, the third boss raised his golden mace once more and smashed it towards Su Zimo. The two bosses attacked at almost the same time with tacit understanding. They attacked from the front and back and released shuddering killing attacks. Su Zimo had a fearless expression and there was no hint of panic in his eyes. He raised the bronze square tripod with his left hand and struck the incoming golden mace. At the same time, he extended his right hand and grabbed the incoming cold light with his unpredictable spirit perception. "Your hand is mine." The fourth boss sneered coldly with a smug and delighted look in his long eyes. On the city wall, Yan Fei shook his head gently and sighed when he saw that. No matter how strong one's body was, they could not take on the other party's weapons and dermic treasures with their bodies. That was a taboo between cultivators. Commander Liu said directly, "That hand is gone." Boom! On the battlefield, the bronze square tripod collided against the golden mace once more. The third boss shuddered and his bones crackled, as though his body was about to fall apart. On the other side, Su Zimo's palm had already made contact with the descending cold light. Under normal circumstances, the palms of body-tempered cultivators were filled with calluses and their skin was rough. However, that palm was fair and tender with long fingers. It was extremely beautiful and was even better than the skin of a newborn baby. With such a tender palm, even a scratch would be able to open up a hole, let alone a weapon or dermic treasure. However, the moment that palm landed on the sharp blade, it suddenly turned soft with a coil and tremble, releasing an extremely terrifying power. Crack! The sound of metal clashing echoed. On the city wall, countless cultivators were shocked when they saw that. The saber in the hands of the fourth boss was shattered by Su Zimo's palm, and the blade turned into many shards that scattered down. However, Su Zimo's palm was intact without any injuries. Impossible! Could that person be wearing some dermic treasure on his palm? A series of exclamations sounded from the city wall. Before everyone's shock could dissipate, a change happened on the battlefield. Die! Although the saber shattered, the fourth boss did not retreat. Instead, he growled and strode forward, piercing forward. "There's a blade in the saber." Yan Fei's eyes flickered as he exclaimed softly. Everyone focused their gazes and saw that the fourth boss was still wielding a sharp blade. It was pitch black and looked like a broken blade. So, there was another broken blade hidden in the fourth boss's saber. If Su Zimo had not shattered the saber, no one would have noticed the existence of the broken blade. This change had exceeded Su Zimo's expectations as well. When he saw the pitch-black broken blade approaching, Su Zimo reached out instinctively to grab it. The moment his palm collided with the pitch-black broken blade, Su Zimo's expression changed. Something's not right. Su Zimo was alarmed. The sharpness of that broken blade can injure the Green Lotus true body. Although he was at the level 5 Black Essence realm, the Green Lotus true body was indestructible and almost no black-grade dermic treasure could injure him. As for the fourth boss, he was only holding a broken blade. It was clearly a useless dermic treasure, but it pierced his palm. At the same time, a familiar vibration came from the bronze square tripod. That broken blade is a sentient dermic treasure. That thought flashed through Su Zimo's mind. However, by the time he realized that, the black blade had already pierced his palm. At that moment, even if he released heavenly feet and other divine powers, it was already too late and he could not avoid the sharpness of the black blade. A smug smile appeared on the fourth boss's face. Back then, he obtained this broken blade by accident and regarded it as a treasure. Although the pitch-black broken blade was an abandoned dermic treasure that was snapped, the remaining half was still extremely sharp. It could even sever high-quality black-grade dermic treasures with ease. However, this pitch-black broken blade could not fuse with heaven and earth essence chi after all, and the power it could release was limited. It could only be used by surprise. That was the reason why the fourth boss racked his brains to hide the pitch-black broken blade in a saber and carry it with him. Over the years, the pitch-black broken blade had done many amazing things. Anyone who had seen the pitch-black broken blade had already died. The fourth boss could clearly see that the pitch-black broken blade had already pierced Su Zimo's palm. Even if this person had any other trump cards, he could cripple the latter's palm completely. In a flash, Su Zimo channeled his essence spirit and released a secret skill. With lightning speed, he vanished from the spot. The pupils of the fourth boss constricted. The green-robed cultivator before him had vanished into thin air without any warning. How is that possible? The pitch-black broken blade in the hands of the fourth boss stabbed into the air and he froze on the spot. There was nothing there. Although the fourth boss was experienced, he had never seen such a situation. Had he encountered a ghost? In fact, he even thought that he was seeing things. Immediately after, another question flashed through the fourth boss's mind. Where did that person go? The entire battlefield seemed to have fallen into silence. Even the discussions and clamor on the city walls seemed to have vanished at that moment. Before the fourth boss could think of an answer, the third boss not far away suddenly widened his eyes and looked behind him with a shocked expression, as though he had seen something extremely terrifying. The third boss opened his mouth and moved, as though he wanted to say something to remind the fourth boss. However, it was all too late. The fourth boss heard a familiar voice that was calm and cold. "Since you want my hand, I'll take your life." The voice was extremely close. The fourth boss could even feel the warm breathing of the person behind him. A chilling intent surged up and covered his entire body. Bang! The next moment, he felt a sharp pain in his head as his consciousness exploded and his essence spirit was shattered instantly. His consciousness dissipated and he fell stiffly to the ground with a dull gaze, dead. Chapter 1853. Taking Advantage of the Situation. Chapter 1853. Taking Advantage of the Situation. Even at the moment of his death, the fourth boss of the evil wolf army did not understand how Su Zimo disappeared into thin air and appeared behind him. Even the outsiders on the city wall were shocked and did not know what happened, let alone him. What's going on? Was that teleportat Ave to snatch his storage bag? Understood. Everyone from Heavenly Scorpion's stronghold replied with voice transmissions. The old man behind the young master of Heavenly Scorpion's stronghold, a grade 7 black immortal, said in a low voice, "Young master, don't go down. I'll lead more than 10 people over." The young master of Heavenly Scorpion's stronghold hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Uncle Jiang, I'll leave it to you then." "Don't worry, young master." The old man named Uncle Jiang said. "That lad should have used up most of his trump cards up till this point of the battle. He's not a threat. Let's go." Uncle Jiang waved his hand gently and slipped down the city wall with more than 10 grade 6 black immortals of Heavenly Scorpion stronghold. Almost at the same time, cultivators from Heavenbane's sect, Heavenly Fire Palace and Blacklight sect flashed out and descended along the city wall, charging towards the battlefield. Only Twin Dragon sect and Thundershock Hall chose to stay put. Since Twin Dragon sect's Su Wan wanted to befriend Su Zimo, she naturally could not hit him when he was down. The other cultivators of Thundershock Hall wanted to attack but were stopped by the blue-dressed woman. The blue-dressed woman had a vague feeling that she had better not get involved today. One of the 8 major factions of the Dragon Abyss Star, the army of Blood Sun Valley, had long been killed by Su Zimo in the 100,000 Mountains. Everyone from Blackeen Mountain was also killed by Su Zimo in the night marketplace and the young master of Blackeen Mountain died. Apart from those 4 factions, among the 8 major factions, Heavenly Scorpion Stronghold, Blacklight Sect, Heavenly Fire Palace and Heavenbane Sect charged into the battlefield, wanting to take advantage of the situation and snatch the treasures. The 4 factions were led by the personal guards of the young masters, 4 grade 7 black immortals. Including the third boss of the evil wolf army, there were 5 grade 7 black immortals. There were also dozens of grade 6 black immortals behind them. Although there did not seem to be many cultivators and they were not as massive as the evil wolf army, they were extremely strong. Everyone knew that the flames that burned the evil wolf army earlier on had consumed too much energy, and Su Zimo could not release it again within a short period of time. Even if it could be released, the 5 grade 7 black immortals could suppress the flames completely. When Su Zimo sensed that, he was unmoved and merely sneered. Without even looking at them, he flicked his toes and grabbed the storage bag and pitch-black broken blade of the 4th boss. The pitch-black broken blade was a sentient dermic treasure. Although it was abandoned, it was of great use to him. Su Zimo was delighted and put away the pitch-black broken blade. In that short period of time, cultivators of Heavenly Scorpion Stronghold, Blacklight Sect and the other 4 major factions arrived and surrounded Su Zimo. "Fellow Taoists, let's join forces and fight this lad head-on later on." Uncle Jiang said in a deep voice, "Everyone else, there's no need to advance. Look for an opportunity at the outer perimeter and attack with all your might." "Sure." The Grade 7 Black Immortals of Blacklight Sect and the other factions nodded as well. The third boss of the Evil Wolf Army naturally had no objections. "Why?" Su Zimo was surrounded, but there was no hint of panic. Instead, his expression turned increasingly wild as he surveyed his surroundings and sneered, "The few of you want to join forces with the Evil Wolf Army?" The Grade 7 Black Immortals of the major factions were silent and merely looked at Su Zimo coldly with wary expressions. They did not want to suffer a huge loss at this moment. The green-robed cultivator had many trump cards and unfathomable methods. Even though they had the advantage in numbers, they did not dare to be careless. Su Zimo smiled and nodded. "Very good. Since you guys want to take advantage of the situation, don't blame me for starting a massacre." Although Su Zimo was smiling, his words shocked everyone present. "Lad, you're arrogant and overestimate yourself." Uncle Jiang hollered, "Let me tell you, a Grade 5 Black Immortal like you can't call the shots on the Dragon Abyss Star. You're not qualified to be arrogant here. Attack!" The moment he said that, the 5 Grade 7 Black Immortals attacked at the same time. The third boss of the Evil Wolf Army swallowed a scarlet pill and his aura suddenly turned extremely berserk. With bloodshot eyes, he roared and charged toward Su Zimo. Uncle Jiang conjured an immortal art and channeled his essence spirit. Biting the tip of his tongue, he spat out a mouthful of essence blood and shouted, "Heavenly Scorpion Descent." That mouthful of essence blood was equivalent to hundreds of years of cultivation. The moment Uncle Jiang attacked, he used his full strength. Chapter 1854. Arrival of the Divine Elephant. Chapter 1854. Arrival of the Divine Elephant. The essence blood evolved rapidly in midair, forming a gigantic scorpion that was dozens of feet long. Its tail was curved and its poison needle hovered above its head as it charged toward Su Zimo. Myriad Phenomenon Fist. The Grade 7 Black Immortal of Heavenbane Sect channeled his blood chi and charged over in huge strides. His essence chi condensed and he punched toward Su Zimo. That person was clearly wearing a black grade glove. With a single punch, a myriad of phantoms appeared and a malevolent aura surged over in a shuddering manner. Black Light Lock. The Grade 7 Black Immortal of Blacklight Sect was a beautiful middle-aged woman. She waved her fair hands and mysterious rays of light surged from her fingertips. The power of divine power spread. Immediately after, chains that shone with divine light appeared on Su Zimo's body. They were etched with mysterious runes that coiled around his limbs and shrank continuously. Heavenly Fire. The Grade 7 Black Immortal of Heavenly Fire Palace conjured an immortal art and extended his finger, pointing at Su Zimo's head. Boom! A gigantic column of flames descended from the skies and smashed toward Su Zimo. The 5 Grade 7 Black Immortals attacked with all their might, releasing their immortal arts and divine powers as well as melee and long-range attacks. They had a tacit understanding and sealed Su Zimo's escape path instantly. That attack was much more terrifying than the attack of the 2 bosses of the Evil Wolf Army. This time round, the third boss and the Grade 7 Black Immortals from Heavenbane Sect were in melee combat. Far away, the Grade 7 Black Immortals of Heavenly Scorpion Stronghold, Blacklight Sect and Heavenly Fire Palace released their immortal arts and divine powers as well and surged over with a terrifying might. Su Zimo frowned slightly. After all, his cultivation realm was much lower than the 5 of them. Right now, he did not dare to use his blood chi. Although he could still gain the upper hand in melee combat, it would be difficult for him to win in a short period of time. The lethality of the Heaven-slaying sword art and Earth-slaying sword art was extremely terrifying. However, once the sword chi was dispersed, they might not be a threat to Grade 7 Black Immortals. Kill! Right then, the dozens of Grade 6 Black Immortals lingering at the edge of the battlefield attacked one after another, summoning their dermic treasures and divine powers to descend in an overwhelming manner. Su Zimo's gaze intensified as he channeled his essence spirit once more and released an innate divine power. Suddenly, 2 gigantic white elephant tusks grew on both sides of his back. They were menacing and sharp, as though they could penetrate everything and the void. Innate divine power, 6 tusk divine strength. In Tianhuang mainland, Su Zimo had already comprehended that innate divine power to its peak. Once released, the power of all 6 divine elephant tusks would grow. His strength would increase by 6 times. However, in the upper world, he was restricted by the laws of the world. Furthermore, releasing that innate divine power took a huge toll on his essence spirit. Even with his level 7 black essence spirit cultivation, Su Zimo could only barely release 2 divine elephant tusks. Even so, his strength doubled instantly. Not only did his physical strength increase, even the power of his essence spirit rose significantly, as though he had touched another level. What is that? Why haven't I seen that divine power before? Why do I feel that this lad's aura has increased significantly, as though he's a different person? Everyone on the city wall was shocked. Look, what's that? Many cultivators focused their gazes and saw a gigantic divine elephant vaguely appear behind Su Zimo. It had 6 jade-white elephant tusks and exuded a thick and majestic might. When the 6-tusked divine elephant descended, many cultivators in Dragon Abyss City felt an inexplicable sense of trepidation and wanted to bow down and kowtow. Even the Grade 8 Black Immortals and Commander Lu were shocked. The 6-tusked divine elephant was like an ancient god. When it descended on the Dragon Abyss star, it was as though the star could not withstand the immense pressure of the 6-tusked divine elephant and trembled slightly. Suddenly, Su Zimo opened his mouth and roared into the skies. At the same time, the divine elephant phantom behind him swung its trunk and reared its head as well, roaring in rage. Pang! 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 Instantly, the black light chains on Su Zimo's body snapped and turned into nothingness. At the same time, Su Zimo waved his sleeves and raised a handful of yellow sand. The yellow sand scattered and shone with a golden light, forming a gigantic yellow sand barrier that blocked the dermic treasures and divine powers of dozens of Grade 6 Black Immortals. This was an utmost treasure evolved from the Grade 9 creation Green Lotus. Not many people in this world knew what changes would happen when the creation Green Lotus became Grade 9. Back in Tianhuang mainland, even Dai Yu merely said that the creation Green Lotus would obtain even greater opportunities later on, but she did not know the exact reason. Therefore, Su Zimo was not worried that others would recognize it when he released the 9 Heavens living soil. At the same time, Su Zimo raised the bronze square tripod with his left hand and suppressed the 3rd boss who was charging forward. Gripping his right hand tightly, he punched in reverse against Heavenbane Sect's myriad phenomenon fist without turning back. Boom! A loud bang sounded almost at the same time. The 3rd boss shuddered and felt a terrifying and ferocious power surge into his body through the golden mace. Even with his physique, he could not withstand it. That power was much stronger than the power that Su Zimo released initially. Ah! The 3rd boss shrieked. The bronze square tripod sent the golden mace in his hands flying, and he could not hold on to them at all. His palm was torn and fresh blood flowed. The golden mace sent flying and possessed an extremely terrifying power. Turning into a golden streak of light, it smashed into the crowd outside. 2 Grade 6 Black Immortals could not dodge in time and were struck by the golden light, shattering on the spot with a blood mist and dying. On the other side, the fists collided. The fist of the Grade 7 Black Immortal of Heavenbane Sect carried a black grade dermic treasure and released the immortal art of the myriad phenomenon fist, creating boundless phenomenons. However, the phantoms of the phenomenons were shattered by a single punch from the Green Lotus true body. The Grade 7 Black Immortal of Heavenbane Sect was shocked as well, and the clothes on his arm were shattered by the violent power that surged in. His arm was already filled with blood scars. It was clear that this was because it could not withstand the power of Su Zimo's punch. The person glared at his arm with a pained expression and let out a deep growl. Bang! Immediately after, under countless gazes, the arm exploded and flesh splattered everywhere. In the blink of an eye, only a few pieces of white bones were left, hanging casually outside. The immense pain triggered the person's consciousness and he nearly fainted on the spot. Right then, he caught sight of a white light from the corner of his eye. Immediately after, an extremely sharp aura arrived instantly with a killing intent. The person felt chills run down his spine as though he had fallen into an ice cellar. Not good. Those words flashed through the mind of the Grade 7 Black Immortal of Heavenbane Sect. The next moment, a white sword chi entered his forehead. Poof! A bloody hole appeared on the person's glabella with fresh blood oozing out. A grade 7 black immortal of Heavenbane's sect was dead. Chapter 1855. Overnight Fame. Chapter 1855. Overnight Fame. The moment Su Zimo repelled a grade 7 black immortal of Heavenbane's sect with a single punch, he flicked his finger gently and released a heaven-slaying sword chi. A single sword chi killed that person. Right then, heavenly fire descended. Su Zimo threw the bronze square tripod in his hands up and it hovered above his head. During the Tribulation Transcendence, the bronze square tripod had already established a connection with Su Zimo's essence spirit through the refinement of heaven and earth essence chi. In Tianhuang mainland, Su Zimo could only pick up the bronze square tripod and smash people with it. However, at that moment, he could already control the treasure. The bronze square tripod hovered above Su Zimo's head. Although 3 sides were still filled with cracks, the intact side emitted a mysterious and ancient glow. The scarlet flare descended with a terrifying might and struck the bronze square tripod heavily. Although the two collided, there was not much sound. The flare descended with a massive might but was resolved by the bronze square tripod silently. The bronze square tripod did not budge at all. However, the scarlet beam of light dissipated into countless sparks that splattered everywhere. Su Zimo stood beneath the bronze square tripod and was safe and sound without a single spark touching him. At that moment, the gigantic scorpion conjured by Uncle Zhong's essence blood had already closed in. Waving its pincers and tail, it stabbed toward Su Zimo. Humph! Su Zimo's ancient tripod hovered above his head as he sneered. Circulating his divine power, he pointed at the gigantic scorpion and hollered, "Hell Dao!" Instantly, hell descended in a sinister manner as blood chi filled the air and it was dark. The heavenly scorpion fell into hell and could no longer see Su Zimo. It felt as though countless malevolent ghosts were charging towards it, wanting to devour its flesh. The heavenly scorpion was formed by Uncle Zhong's hundreds of years of cultivation. However, falling into the Hell Dao was like falling into an endless abyss that it could never break free from. Before long, the heavenly scorpion was coiled by the malevolent ghosts and refined, completely vanishing. Uncle Zhong's face turned paler. He had abandoned hundreds of years of cultivation. However, before it could even touch Su Zimo's clothes, it was turned into nothingness by the latter's lesser divine power. When Su Zimo released his innate divine power, his strength would double. The lesser divine power he released received the power boost as well, allowing it to break Uncle Zhong's immortal art with ease. Compared to the fallen grade 7 black immortal of Heavenbane's sect, he was considered lucky. Although the fight sounded slow, in reality, it happened in a flash. It was only then that the cultivators on the city wall reacted and exclaimed. Heavens, he fought 1 against 5 and even killed a grade 7 black immortal. What's the background of that person? Could he really be an ascender from the lower world? Could he be the reincarnation of an exalted immortal? Even the native exalted immortals of Dragon Abyss City were shocked, let alone the cultivators of the major factions. Disbelief flashed through the eyes of the commanders as well. Up till this point of the battle, the trump cards that Su Zimo had revealed were something that even native immortals like them could not match. However, that person was only a grade 5 black immortal. How could a grade 5 black immortal know so many powerful divine powers and secret skills? Although the battle was not over yet, the current situation had already exceeded everyone's expectations. Yan Fei could not help but exclaim, "That lad is about to become famous overnight." Many cultivators could not help but recall the scene in the night marketplace. Commander Liu had once invited everyone here to watch a good show. Even Commander Liu might not have expected this scene to turn out like this. Many cultivators shifted their gazes and stole glances at Commander Liu on the city wall. Commander Liu was expressionless as he watched the battlefield in silence. Nobody knew what he was thinking. Duan Tianliang, Yu Hao and the others were naturally delighted. Su Wan let out a long breath with a conflicted expression. She felt relieved. Thankfully, she did not choose to be enemies with this person. This person's potential was way too great. If he did not die today, once he cultivated for a few thousand years and grew further, he would definitely be of high status on the Dragon Abyss Star. Given his capabilities, there was a high chance he could establish the 9th major faction of the Dragon Abyss Star. Miss, that person seems to be a protector of Blood Sun Valley. Right then, the burly man behind Xueqi pointed to a figure beneath the city and whispered. Beneath Dragon Abyss City. The battle was intense and no one noticed that another figure had appeared on the battlefield. It was Protector Xueqi of Blood Sun Valley. Fellow Taoists. When he saw that the situation was not right, Protector Xueqi no longer hid himself and arrived on the battlefield. He sent a voice transmission to the third boss of the evil wolf army and the others with his spirit consciousness. Why bother wasting time against a grade 5 black immortal? Let's just use Essence Spirit secret skills directly. Under normal circumstances, be it in the upper or lower worlds, cultivators would not use Essence Spirit secret skills casually during fights. Once an Essence Spirit was damaged, it would be extremely difficult to recover and might even affect one's future cultivation. Furthermore, in the hearts of the experts, they were grade 7 black immortals and were 2 cultivation realms above Xueqi. They could suppress him with a single attack. Everyone's first reaction was not to use Essence Spirit secret skills. But now, Protector Xueqi's words jolted everyone present. That's right. Their cultivation realms were higher than Xueqi and he would definitely not be able to defend against their Essence Spirit secret skills. Even if this person had some trump cards that could dispel an Essence Spirit secret skill. If they joined forces and released it at the same time, this person would definitely die. The third boss of the evil wolf army, the beautiful middle-aged woman of Black Light Sect and Protector Xueqi exchanged glances and nodded to themselves. Everyone, don't hold back. We have to kill this lad with our full strength to prevent future troubles. Protector Xueqi reminded once more. Before he could finish, his glabella shone with a divine light and released an extremely powerful spirit consciousness, forming a blood-colored sun in midair that charged towards Xueqi. It's an Essence Spirit secret skill. On the city wall, Xueqi exclaimed with a grim expression. Not good. Yan Fei frowned slightly and whispered, no matter how strong that lad is, he won't be able to defend against the Essence Spirit attacks of 5 grade 7 black immortals. Commander Lu sneered. A bunch of fools. You only remembered to use your Essence Spirit secret skills now. On the battlefield, the third boss's glabella opened up and his spirit consciousness condensed, releasing a golden light that sped towards Xueqi. The glabella of the beautiful middle-aged woman from Black Light Sect shone with a divine radiance and released a beam of light as thick as a finger. The power of her spirit consciousness spread and her Essence Spirit secret skill was released. Taking a deep breath of air, Uncle Jiang condensed his Essence Spirit and released his secret skill as well. In the blink of an eye, 5 grade 7 black immortals attacked at the same time and released Essence Spirit secret skills. Against the attacks of the 5 experts, Xueqi stood in midair with a calm expression. His eyes were bright and there was no hint of panic in them. On the contrary, there seemed to be a hint of mockery in his eyes. You want to fight with your Essence Spirits? Xueqi raised his brow slightly. Chapter 1856. End of the Battle. Chapter 1856. End of the Battle. Xueqi channeled his mental cultivation technique and released an Essence Spirit secret skill without hesitation. A scarlet divine light shot out from his glabella. Before long, it appeared and floated in midair. It was a scarlet scale the size of a palm in the shape of a crescent moon. Everyone present, including the commanders on the city wall, had never seen or heard of an Essence Spirit secret skill in the form of a scale. However, the moment the scale descended, everyone felt an inexplicable sense of trepidation. How is that possible? A Dragon Abyss City commander frowned slightly. The Essence Spirit secret skill of a grade 5 black immortal can't possess such a terrifying aura. Nobody knew that the Scarlet Scale was a dragon scale. Furthermore, it was the reverse scale of the dragon race. The reverse scale flew towards Protector Xueqi of Blood Sun Valley at an unhurried speed. However, Protector Xueqi sensed danger and shouted hurriedly, "Everyone, help me!" The 2 people closest to Protector Xueqi were Uncle Jiang of Heavenly Scorpion Stronghold and the beautiful middle-aged woman of Black Light Sect. The 2 of them hesitated for a moment before controlling their Essence Spirit secret skills to charge towards the Scarlet Scale in midair. Almost at the same time, the Essence Spirit secret skills of Protector Xueqi, Uncle Jiang and the beautiful middle-aged woman of Black Light sect collided against the reverse scale. When Su Zimo noticed that, he had already turned around without taking another look. The 4 Essence Spirit secret skills clashed silently without any earth-shaking sounds. However, spirit consciousness ripples appeared in the void. Immediately after, a terrifying scene happened. The moment the 3 Essence Spirit secret skills collided with the Scarlet Scale, Protector Xueqi, Uncle Jiang and the beautiful middle-aged woman from Black Light sect shuddered and their eyes widened, as though they had sensed something extremely terrifying. The 3 of them were horrified and their eyes were filled with fear. Their expressions were forever fixed on their faces. Right in front of everyone, the 3 of them fell limply as though they had lost their souls. Their eyes bulged and they died with grievances. They're dead. Yan Fei looked at everything in disbelief. His spirit consciousness could clearly sense that there was no longer any life in the 3 of them. There were no injuries on Protector Xueqi and the other 2. However, the 3 of them were already dead. Such a strange scene would only happen if one's essence spirit was severely injured and their soul was destroyed. However, how could that be? The Scarlet Scale was already shattered on the spot by their essence spirit secret skills and did not manage to touch their consciousnesses. Yet, Protector Xueqi and the other 2 died on the spot. However, Protector Xueqi and the other 2 died on the spot. This essence spirit secret skill can't even be touched. A cultivator asked with a trembling voice. Instantly, a commotion broke out in the crowd. Anyone who touched the reverse scale of a dragon would die. Protector Xueqi and the other 2 did not know that Su Zimo's essence spirit cultivation was at the level 7 Black Essence realm to begin with. Furthermore, when he released the innate divine power of the 6-tusk divine strength, the power of his essence spirit increased exponentially and surpassed a grade 7 Black Immortal. Coupled with the terror of the reverse scale secret skill, the 3 of them could not defend against the essence spirit attack at all. The battle was not over yet. Su Zimo had expected this. He had already turned around and channeled his essence spirit once more, condensing another essence spirit secret skill. Buzz! A golden light shone on Su Zimo's glabella and his spirit consciousness condensed. A golden swastika symbol descended rapidly with a divine aura. The Rulai Dermic Seal. The ancient golden symbol was filled with a terrifying might and shattered the 3rd boss's essence spirit secret skill as though it was crushing dry weeds. That was a secret skill of the Buddhist monasteries. The power of the Rulai Dermic Seal increased exponentially after cultivating the Prajna Nirvana Sutra. The essence spirit secret skill of the 3rd boss could not defend against it at all and dissipated instantly. Ah! The 3rd boss was shocked and wanted to turn and escape. However, his speed could not compare to the Rulai Dermic Seal. The golden symbol descended and imprinted itself on his back. Instantly, the massive spirit consciousness shattered his consciousness and drowned his essence spirit. The 3rd boss had barely taken a few steps when he fell to the ground without any life left. In the blink of an eye, 4 of the 5 grade 7 Black Immortals were dead. On the city wall, everyone was dumbfounded. All the cultivators knew that a fight between essence spirits was extremely dangerous. However, nobody expected that the grade 7 Black Immortals present would die even faster and more directly after using their essence spirit secret skills. The battle was not over yet. The essence spirit secret skill released by the grade 7 Black Immortal of Heavenly Fire Palace was a fist-sized white flame. By the time the essence spirit secret skill descended, the other 4 were already dead. The grade 7 Black Immortal of Heavenly Fire Palace reacted extremely quickly and turned to flee without thinking or looking at the final outcome. With a cold expression, Su Zimo touched his glabella gently and pulled out a whip that shone with blinding lightning from his consciousness. Piak! Su Zimo waved his thunder whip and whipped the white flame. The flame shattered on the spot and sparks flew. Spirit Vanquishing Whip. The grade 7 Black Immortal of Heavenly Fire Palace managed to escape from the range of the lightning whip because he fled first. Because of that, his life was spared. That person's face was pale and he did not dare to relax. He sprinted towards Dragon Abyss City, afraid that Su Zimo would chase after him as he fled in panic. The dozens of grade 6 Black Immortals standing not far away reacted and dispersed. In the blink of an eye, there was only a single person left on the battlefield beneath Dragon Abyss City. He stood in midair and looked down at Dragon Abyss City with a torrential aura. The battlefield was in a mess with corpses strewn everywhere like an Azura hell. This green-robed cultivator was like the king of the Azura hell and no one could offend his dignity. In this battle, 6 grade 7 black immortals died. There were even more grade 5 and 6 black immortals dead as well. The 10,000-strong evil wolf army was almost completely annihilated and only a few hundred survived. Even a battle between the major factions on the Dragon Abyss Star might not have resulted in such a tragic situation. If they had not witnessed it personally, who would believe that it was done by a single person? The young masters of Heavenly Scorpion Stronghold, Blacklight Sect and the other major factions stood on Dragon Abyss City with pale expressions and lingering fear. Thankfully they did not attack. Otherwise, they might have died beneath the city as well. This battle had a huge impact on everyone present. Even many years later, some of the young masters of the factions who witnessed this battle did not dare to get into a conflict with Xueqi. The mention of his name still sent shivers down their spines. This ascender of the lower world was also taken seriously for the first time by some of the exalted immortals and guards in Dragon Abyss City. Many exalted immortals even regarded this ascender as their equals. Be it in the upper or lower worlds, the strong reigned supreme. When a person possessed sufficient strength, they could overwhelm everything. Sorry to disappoint you guys. Xueqi cupped his fists in the direction of Dragon Abyss City and said indifferently, "These people won't be able to hurt my life." Chapter 1857, Far Away. Chapter 1857, Far Away. How arrogant! When Commander Lu heard that, he could no longer hold it in and was enraged. He slapped the city wall heavily and leaped down. Actually, he had already made his move the moment Xueqi revealed his extraordinary cultivation techniques. However, due to his status, he could not attack directly in front of everyone. But now that there was no one else who could suppress Xueqi beneath Dragon Abyss City, Commander Lu no longer hesitated. The Dragon Abyss Star was vast and many regions were uninhabited with complicated environments. Given Commander Lu's cultivation, even if he led an army to search, it would be like searching for a needle in a haystack and they might not be able to find him. Commander Lu was certain that Xueqi had more than one treasure. He was tempted by the many powerful methods that Xueqi displayed earlier on. "Lu Tong, what are you doing?" Sensing a figure flash beside him, Yan Fei could not help but frown and shout softly. Without even turning back, Lu Tong said coldly, "Yan Fei, don't interfere in this matter. Otherwise, our many years of relationship will be severed." Yan Fei hesitated for a moment and stood on the city wall without moving. Although he admired Xueqi, they did not have any relationship after all. If he were to offend Lu Tong because of this outsider, it would not be worth it. Duan Tianliang, Yu Hao and the others became nervous once more at the intervention of a grade 8 black immortal. Lu Tong was not only a grade 8 black immortal, he was also a commander of Dragon Abyss City. As an ascender, Xueqi went on a massacre beneath Dragon Abyss City. Even if he killed close to 10,000 of the evil wolf army and people of the major factions, no one would say anything. The native exalted immortals of Dragon Abyss City would merely turn a blind eye. However, the nature of the matter would change the moment a commander of Dragon Abyss City was attacked. When Xueqi saw Lu Tong leaping down from the city wall, he was still composed. First, he put away the storage bags of Uncle Jiang, Protector Xueqi and the others who were closest to him. Even at death's door, you're still in the mood to take something from others. Lu Tong slapped his waist and a pitch-black spear appeared in his palm, looking extremely powerful. Bang! Lu Tong arrived not far away from Xueqi and slammed his spear heavily on the ground, creating a pit with gravel flying everywhere. He channeled heaven and earth essence chi and 5 patterns appeared on the spear. They were bedazzling. It was a perfect black-grade dermic treasure. "May I ask, Commander Lu, what crime have I committed?" Xueqi asked indifferently with a calm expression. "Humph." Lu Tong sneered, "Despite the fact that you're under our watch and right beneath Dragon Abyss City, you're so arrogant and killed wantonly. You're clearly someone of the Fiend Dao." Without any explanation, Lu Tong pinned the blame on him. In reality, everyone witnessed the situation of the battle. Xueqi had many methods, including some powerful secret skills of the Buddhist monasteries. It was understandable if he was accused as someone of the Buddhist monasteries. By saying that he was someone of the Fiend Dao, it was clear that he was smearing Su Zimo intentionally. At that point, Su Zimo smiled. "What are you laughing at?" Lu Tong asked coldly. "Commander Lu, the Evil Wolf Army is one of the 4 great bandits and has been roaming the Dragon Abyss Star for many years. Why haven't you appeared to destroy the Evil Wolf Army? Why didn't you say that the Evil Wolf Army is from the Fiend Dao?" Su Zimo asked instead. Lu Tong's expression darkened and he was about to speak. Su Zimo continued, "If it was any other time, you could say that the 4 great bandits are everywhere and it's difficult to encircle them. However, the Evil Wolf Army was attacking me right beneath Dragon Abyss City today. Why did you ignore them? As a commander of Dragon Abyss City, instead of suppressing the bandits, you came to deal with a grade 5 black immortal like me who killed the bandits. Isn't that laughable?" On the city wall, many cultivators cheered in secret. It was especially so for Yu Hao and the others. They had witnessed their kin and close friends die in the hands of the Evil Wolf Army one after another. In the end, their families were destroyed and they were homeless. They hated the 4 great bandits to the core. Although they did not say it, many cultivators harbored resentment towards Dragon Abyss City's disregard. Su Zimo's words expressed the thoughts of many cultivators. Su Wan sighed gently with a worried expression. In her opinion, if Su Zimo were to bow down to Commander Lu, he might have a chance of surviving. But now that Su Zimo had gone against Commander Lu in such a manner, he would most likely die today. On the city wall, Lu Tong's face seemed to be covered by a layer of frost as he remained silent. He glared at Su Zimo, who was not far away, with a murderous gaze. Even the cultivators on Dragon Abyss City could sense Commander Lu's killing intent. As though he did not notice it, Su Zimo asked with a mocking expression, "Commander Lu, let me ask you, are you a commander of Dragon Abyss City or the Evil Wolf Army?" "Little beast, you have a death wish." Lu Tong hollered and his gaze intensified as he charged toward Su Zimo at an astonishing speed. His hands trembled and the spear seemed to have a life of its own in his hands. It slithered like a spirit snake and created afterimages in midair. Narrowing his gaze slightly, Su Zimo retreated and released ethereal wings, heavenly feet, boundless golden light and other divine powers and secret skills. His speed increased exponentially as he sped into the distance. "Commander Lu, we'll meet again in the future. There's no need to send me off." Su Zimo chuckled and disappeared into the night. "Trying to flee?" Lu Tong sneered internally and channeled his essence spirit. Heaven and earth essence chi coiled around his body and his speed increased as well. He sprinted and chased with his spear. The 2 of them disappeared from everyone's line of sight before long. Right now, Su Zimo did not want to fight Lu Tong. Firstly, he was only at the level 5 Black Essence realm and there was a difference of 3 cultivation realms between him and Lu Tong. Right now, the increase in strength brought about by the 6-tusk divine strength was gradually disappearing. Once the 2 of them fought, the outcome would be unpredictable. Secondly, Lu Tong was a commander of Dragon Abyss City after all. Even if he could kill Lu Tong, he would definitely offend the entire Dragon Abyss City. At that time, he would be hunted down by the many guards and native exalted immortals of Dragon Abyss City. His situation would be way too dangerous and it would not be worth it. Although Su Zimo was on a massacre, he did not lose his rationality and remained clear-headed. Dragon Abyss City. Many cultivators had different expressions and lamented when they saw that. Nobody expected this battle to end up like this. A Dragon Abyss City commander said, "That lad is way too naive. He has expended a lot of energy after experiencing a huge battle and his cultivation is way too inferior compared to Lu Tong. How can he escape?" Yan Fei's eyes flickered in deep thought. A moment later, he suddenly sent a voice transmission to Su Wan, Yu Hao and the others. "Leave Dragon Abyss City now." "Ha!" Su Wan and the others were stunned. Yan Fei said deeply, "There's a high chance that Su Zimo did this to lure Lu Tong away." Su Wan and the others felt their hearts skip a beat. Yan Fei reminded, "Of course, I don't know if that's his true intentions. However, if Lu Tong returns empty-handed later, he'll probably cause trouble for you guys." Su Wan and the others were smart and reacted quickly. They thanked Yan Fei hurriedly and left. Chapter 1858, Toij. Chapter 1858, Toy. Su Zimo sped the entire way. Lu Tong chased closely behind. Before long, the two of them left Dragon Abyss City far behind. Initially, Lu Tong thought that Su Zimo's stamina, essence chi and essence spirit must have reached their limits after the battle. However, his stamina, essence chi and essence spirits were all at their peak. As long as he kept his eyes on Su Zimo, it wouldn't be long before the latter was exhausted. At that time, he could capture the latter alive without any bloodshed. By then, he would have countless methods to interrogate Su Zimo about those divine powers and secret skills. However, Lu Tong had been chasing for almost an entire night and the skies were already turning bright. The green-robed figure in front of him was still sprinting in his line of sight. As a grade 8 black immortal, he already felt exhausted and his blood chi was weak after traveling for such a long time. He had to consume a few elixirs along the way to maintain it. However, that person's speed showed no signs of slowing down after the entire night. What sort of physique does this person have? Lu Tong cursed internally. If this continued, he would be exhausted, let alone capture this person alive. It was already unusual for a grade 5 black immortal to be able to match him in terms of movement speed. What was even stranger was that this person's stamina seemed endless. In fact, Lu Tong even felt despair. There was no way he knew how shocking the regeneration capabilities of the Green Lotus True Body were. Even the Dragon Phoenix True Body back then could not compare. After the Green Lotus True Body grew to grade 9, its regeneration speed was even more terrifying. It was daybreak. Finally, Lu Tong could not take it anymore. He took a deep breath with a resolute expression and decided to release a secret skill to increase his speed. This secret skill came from the Fiend sects and he obtained it by accident after killing a Fiend sect cultivator. All these years, he had never used it in front of anyone. That was because once released, the secret skill would have an immense impact on his body and it would consume a lot of blood chi and essence chi. It might take hundreds of years to recover. However, if he could suppress Su Zimo, he would not hesitate even if he had to expend his blood chi. Fiend Movement Art. Lu Tong channeled his essence spirit and conjured hand seals with both hands, causing his aura to change. 2 pitch-black fiend chi grew rapidly from his body, as though they took away a large amount of his blood chi essence. The 2 fiend chi coiled around his feet. Lu Tong's feet were injected with an extremely violent power and he became much lighter. His speed increased exponentially and he sped forward, leaving a series of afterimages in the air. The distance between Lu Tong and Su Zimo was closing rapidly. Before long, there were only a few hundred feet left between the two of them. Lu Tong was invigorated and was delighted. Retrieving the perfect black-grade spear from his storage bag, he was prepared to attack the moment Su Zimo was within his attack range. Oh! Sensing the commotion behind him, Su Zimo glanced sideways. Foo-foo. Looking at Lu Tong who was drenched in sweat and had a menacing expression, Su Zimo chuckled and shook his head. Compared to Lu Tong, Su Zimo seemed much calmer at the moment. His face was rosy and he did not sweat at all. His breathing was steady and long as though he was taking a leisurely stroll. Commander Lu, thank you for sending me off. Please wait. Su Zimo said and channeled his essence spirit and innate divine powers. With a swoosh, 2 gigantic wings grew from his back. They were golden and every single feather shone with a mysterious divine light. This was an innate divine power inherited from the Golden Rock, Extreme Speed. Initially, Su Zimo did not use it partly because he wanted to lure Lu Tong away. At the same time, he wanted to see how long Lu Tong could chase for. Now that Lu Tong had released his secret skill, he no longer hesitated. The speed of the Golden Rock was top tier even among the trichiliocosm of the upper world and almost no living being could match it. Phew! The golden wings flapped and Su Zimo transformed into a streak of light, shooting out. In the blink of an eye, the distance between the two of them increased once more. What? Lu Tong's eyes widened and he nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. This was a huge blow to him. He chased for an entire night and released a secret skill of the Fiend sects that expended his blood chi. Just as he was about to catch up to Su Zimo, the latter released a divine power that was even faster than him. Not only did the distance between the two of them not shorten, It even increased rapidly. Su Zimo had the wings of the golden rock and could soar through the air. He could ignore the obstacles such as rocks and shrubs on the ground and was even faster. However, Lu Tong was sprinting on the ground entirely. In less than half an hour, Su Zimo had already vanished from Lu Tong's line of sight. Lu Tong had no choice but to stop in his tracks with a livid expression, panting heavily. His eyes spewed fire and his head was about to explode from anger. He chased for an entire night but could not even touch the corner of Su Zimo's clothes. Lu Tong ground his teeth and clenched his fists. After standing on the spot for a long time, he suppressed the anger in his heart and turned towards Dragon Abyss City. He ran with all his might for an entire night. However, it took him more than 2 days to return to Dragon Abyss City. Isn't that Commander Lu? A guard at the city gate saw a travel-worn cultivator walking over from afar. He was covered in dust and looked a little wretched. If not for the badge on his waist, the guards would not have recognized him. Didn't Commander Lu chase after Su Zimo? Why did he return on his own? Someone asked in confusion. Another guard said, "Is there a need to ask? Su Zimo must have been killed on the spot. Do you expect Commander Lu to bring a corpse back?" Before long, Lu Tong arrived at the city gate of Dragon Abyss City. "Commander Lu is back." A guard greeted him with a smile. Another guard bowed with a smile as well and shouted, "Congratulations, Commander Lu, for killing that ruffian, Su Zimo. You've returned victorious." Lu Tong stopped in his tracks. He could not help but recall the scene 2 days ago and his expression darkened instantly. A surge of anger surged into his heart as he slapped the city guard on the face. Crack! The sound of bones cracking could be heard. The city guard was also a grade 6 black immortal. However, his cheek was smashed by Lu Tong and he rolled dozens of feet away, fainting on the spot. "Please forgive me, Commander Lu." The other guards at the city gate shuddered in fear and knelt on the ground one after another, not daring to raise their heads. Lu Tong grit his teeth and asked, "Where are the few people who were with Su Zimo previously?" "Commander Lu, those people left the city 2 days ago and we don't know where they are." A city guard replied warily. The rage in Lu Tong's heart intensified but he had nowhere to vent it. At that moment, he understood that Su Zimo was trying to lure him away. That person was clearly toying with him. Scram! Lu Tong raised his leg and kicked away a few city guards before returning to his residence in a huff. This time round, not only did he return empty-handed, he even lost a lot of blood chi essence. He had to recuperate for a period of time before he could recover completely. Chapter 1859. Repair. Chapter 1859. Repair. Su Zimo did not linger elsewhere and returned to the desolate lands. He had benefited immensely from this trip to Dragon Abyss City. Prior to this, he exchanged for all the immortal herbs in his storage bag and obtained close to 500,000 essence condensation pills. In the Battle of Dragon Abyss City, he obtained a few more storage bags of grade 7 black immortals. Along the way, he had nothing to do and had already sorted out his gains. There were close to 10 million essence condensation pills in those storage bags. There were even more immortal herbs. There were a total of 64 essence spirit stones. Coupled with the 13 essence spirit stones he obtained from the Blood Sun Valley army previously, he now had 77 essence spirit stones. Of course, there were also dermic treasures and cultivation techniques in those storage bags. However, those dermic treasures were not worthy of Su Zimo's attention. Su Zimo browsed through some of the cultivation techniques and secret skills, but there was no value in cultivating them. That was normal. If those cultivators had any powerful cultivation techniques or secret skills, they would not have been defeated so badly. Unfortunately, it was a waste that Su Zimo did not have time to collect the storage bags of the evil wolf army. Of course, the greatest gains of this battle were 3 things. One was a spirit treasure fragment, one was a pitch-black broken blade and the third was the sal tree leaf. Su Zimo returned to the desolate lands and entered seclusion cultivation. He placed the spirit treasure fragment into the bronze square tripod and observed it quietly. Indeed, A terrifying power burst forth from within the bronze square tripod and smelted the spirit treasure fragment, absorbing its essence. The bronze square tripod did not change much after smelting the spirit treasure fragment. However, one of the shattered tripod walls seemed to have a crack repaired. The walls of the tripod were filled with cracks and it was difficult for Su Zimo to notice them. Without hesitation, he threw the pitch-black broken blade into the bronze square tripod once more. Before long, the bronze square tripod smelted the pitch-black broken blade again. This time round, Su Zimo glared at the shattered wall of the tripod. Indeed. A crack gradually healed on the wall of the tripod. Of course, there were too many cracks on the walls of the tripod and only 2 of them were repaired. It was insignificant. The bronze square tripod did not change much either. However, that at least confirmed Su Zimo's guess. If he wanted to repair the bronze square tripod, it had to at least devour a sentient dermic treasure. With that direction, there was now a chance that the bronze square tripod could recover to its original state one day. Of course, it would naturally be best if it could devour weapons that were better than sentient dermic treasures. For example, when he was ascending and was hunted by King Yun Yu, he fell into a black hole in the starry skies. By chance, the bronze square tripod once devoured an immortal king weapons. It was also because of that weapon that one of the walls of the bronze square tripod was repaired. That was the reason why he could learn the Prajna Nirvana Sutra and stabilize his essence spirit to escape from the black hole. However, such opportunities could only be chanced upon. Given his current cultivation, he could not even come into contact with a complete sentient dermic treasure, let alone an immortal king weapon. Su Zimo was increasingly curious about the bronze square tripod. He wanted to see how mysterious the bronze square tripod would be the moment it recovered. During this period of time, he had yet to establish a connection with the martial Tao prime body. He did not know if it was because his essence spirit cultivation was not high enough or something else. However, Su Zimo was not worried. There was no one in Tianhuang mainland who could threaten the martial Tao prime body. Next was the Sal tree leaf. The Sal tree leaf held an extraordinary meaning for Su Zimo. His true form could be said to be a creation green lotus. If he could refine the Sal tree leaf, it would also increase the growth of the creation green lotus significantly. More importantly, the Sal tree was one of the 3 sacred trees of the Buddhist monasteries. Legend has it that Buddha once underwent nirvana beneath the Sal tree. If he could refine that leaf, he would definitely have new insights into cultivating the Prajna Nirvana Sutra. A month later, Su Zimo was in seclusion when his heart skipped a beat. He floated up and walked out of his cave abode. Master! The silver giant was guarding not far away and hurried over when he saw Su Zimo come out of seclusion. Someone's here, Su Zimo said softly. The silver giant's gaze was ferocious as he said in a deep voice. Don't worry, master. I'll go take a look and not let outsiders disturb your cultivation. There's no need for that. Su Zimo waved it off. Not many people know about this place. Duan Tianliang and the others must have returned. Woof, woof, woof. Before long, he heard Big Yellow's joyful cries. A large group of people walked over from afar densely. Duan Tianliang rode on the back of the Ying Zhao and walked at the front with Big Yellow. Duan Tianliang was delighted and bragged to everyone behind him. Beside Duan Tianliang and Big Yellow were 3 familiar faces: Yu Hao, Shen Fei and Gu Wenjun. Greetings, Brother Su. Yu Hao was delighted when he saw Su Zimo and hurried forward. Shen Fei and Gu Wenjun came over and bowed as well. Behind the 3 of them were thousands of cultivators. Most of them were at level 1, 2 or 3 of the Black Essence realm. Only more than 1,000 people wore armor and were at the level 4 or 5 Black Essence realm. They looked rather strong. The cultivators looked at Su Zimo with curiosity, surprise and reverence. They were all from Sun Vanquishing Stronghold. During this period of time, Yu Hao and the others had long recounted the Battle of the 100,000 Mountains and Dragon Abyss City to everyone. Even without embellishing the details, the description of such a huge battle was shocking, let alone with the presence of someone like Duan Tianliang who could dance and spout nonsense. Everyone from Sun Vanquishing Stronghold had long been curious about Su Zimo. In their hearts, experts who could kill 5,000 troops of Blood Sun Valley and burn 10,000 troops of the Evil Wolf Army must be mighty and heroic. In fact, they might even be monsters with 3 heads and 6 arms. But now, the legendary ruthless person was this gentle and refined scholar before them. "We came uninvited. Please forgive us, Brother Su," Yu Hao said. "No worries." Su Zimo smiled and looked at everyone behind Yu Hao, asking, "This is?" Gu Wenjun smiled. "Brother Su, these are cultivators of our sun-vanquishing stronghold. The 3 of us siblings have brought them to seek refuge with you. Please take us in and don't reject us." Yu Hao said, "Our sun-vanquishing stronghold is worried that we'll be targeted by the evil wolf army and Blood Sun Valley such that we have to move every once in a while. Now that such a huge matter has happened, we were intending to leave as well. We thought that we might as well join you, Brother Su." "Boss Su." Shen Fei mimicked Duan Tianliang and changed the way he addressed him. "From now on, you'll be our leader." Chapter 1860, Seclusion. Chapter 1860. Seclusion. Su Zimo waved it off and said to Yu Hao and the other 2, "I'm only at the level 5 Black Essence realm and can't compare to you guys. I can't be the leader." "Boss Su, what are you talking about?" Shen Fei said hurriedly, "Others might not know about your capabilities, but do you think we don't know? No one will dare to disobey you as our leader." Su Zimo shook his head still. "If you guys want to camp here, that's fine. However, I won't be the leader." Yu Hao and the other 2 exchanged glances. When they saw Su Zimo's resolute attitude, they did not persuade him further. Actually, Su Zimo had his own considerations and reservations for declining this matter. One day, he would leave the Dragon Abyss Star. He did not want to leave too many ties on the Dragon Abyss Star. If he were to become the leader of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold, it might not be a good thing for him or Sun Vanquishing Stronghold. Su Zimo turned to look at Duan Tianliang. "Take the fellow Taoists of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold who are familiar with the vicinity and settle down nearby to open up Spirit Field." "Boss, don't worry. Leave it to me." Duan Tianliang patted his chest. Su Zimo then said to Yu Hao, "These desolate lands are rather secluded. You guys can cultivate here in peace and recuperate to strengthen yourselves." Pondering for a moment, he took out a few storage bags and handed them to Duan Tianliang, Yu Hao and the others. "There are some essence condensation pills here. Take them and cultivate for the time being to raise your cultivation as soon as possible." "Brother Su, this." Yu Hao was a little embarrassed and was about to decline. Su Zimo had already turned towards his cave abode. "Next, I'm going into seclusion as well. If there's nothing important, don't look for me." "Thank you, boss." Duan Tianliang shouted happily. Although he did not contribute much by accompanying Su Zimo to Dragon Abyss City, he was on tenterhooks the entire way and was scared out of his wits. Su Zimo gave him some essence condensation pills as compensation and consolation. Duan Tianliang opened his storage bag and took a look. His gaze froze instantly. Initially, he thought that it would already be amazing if Su Zimo rewarded him with dozens or even 100 essence condensation pills. After all, back in Snow Wind Ridge, it would take dozens of years to accumulate 100 essence condensation pills. However, he had not expected the number of essence condensation pills in the storage bag to be so shocking that he was stupefied. Duan Tianliang took a few deep breaths and counted repeatedly. 10,000. 10,000 essence condensation pills. A strong sense of happiness rose in Duan Tianliang's heart and he rolled his eyes, almost fainting on the spot. On the other side, Yu Hao and the others opened their storage bags as well and gasped with shocked expressions. Yu Hao had 100,000 essence condensation pills in his storage bag. There were 50,000 in Shen Fei and Gu Wenjun's storage bags. For Yu Hao, 100,000 essence condensation pills were enough for him to cultivate for hundreds of years. Actually, Su Zimo had close to 10 million essence condensation pills in his storage bag. However, he did not give Yu Hao and the others too many. Given Yu Hao, Duan Tianliang and the others' physiques and cultivation realms, the number of essence condensation pills they could refine daily was limited. For example, Duan Tianliang took more than 2 months to refine an essence condensation pill. Yu Hao was faster, but even then, he could only refine one a day at most. If they were given too many essence condensation pills, they wouldn't be able to use all either. However, it was different for Su Zimo. He was the Green Lotus true body and could devour and refine 10 essence condensation pills within a day when he was at the level 4 Black Essence realm. Now that he was at the level 5 Black Essence realm, the demand for essence condensation pills was even greater. He could even devour and refine 100 essence condensation pills in a day. He had to consume more than 30,000 essence condensation pills to cultivate for a year. The demand was extremely shocking, but it was only logical. The creation Green Lotus had already grown to grade 9. Su Zimo's current cultivation was not only on his own, but also with the growth of the creation Green Lotus. It was not so easy for the creation Green Lotus to grow. Thankfully, Su Zimo obtained a large number of essence condensation pills for this trip to Dragon Abyss City, and was able to maintain his cultivation. Blood Sun Valley. 3 people sat in a dark room. One of them was rather handsome, but he had a single arm and one empty sleeve. It was the young master of Blood Sun Valley, Chen Xianyang. In a month's time, Chen Xuanyang's injuries had healed significantly and his face had regained some color. However, his arm was severed forever and could not regrow unless he cultivated to the Earth Immortal realm. Opposite Chen Xianyang sat a grade 7 Black Immortal, another protector of Blood Sun Valley, Wei Shan. There was someone sitting in the middle. However, the person was hidden in the darkness and his appearance could not be seen clearly. Only a rough outline could be seen. That was the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley. The news of the battle in Dragon Abyss City had long spread. The evil wolf army suffered the greatest losses in this battle. Second was Blood Sun Valley. Notwithstanding the loss of close to 5,000 troops, they even lost a grade 7 Black Immortal protector. Chen Xianyang lost an arm as well. Ever since Blood Sun Valley was established, it had been through countless battles, but it had never encountered such a huge setback. The atmosphere in the room was a little stuffy and troubling. "Father, what should we do about this?" Chen Xianyang could not help but ask. "We can't take this lying down. If we can't tear Su Zimo into pieces, our Blood Sun Valley will probably be mocked by countless people." Wei Shan said in a deep voice, "Valley Master, the reputation of Blood Sun Valley and the evil wolf army has indeed fallen to the bottom during this period of time. Many factions and cultivators have begun to question our strength and want to leave our control. I heard that some factions are even tempted to replace Blood Sun Valley." The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was silent for a moment before asking, "What do you guys think?" "Father, I suggest that we search for Su Zimo immediately. We have to find him even if we have to dig underground," Chen Xianyang said hatefully. Wei Shan was silent and did not agree. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley said indifferently, "If Su Zimo wants to hide, even the 8 factions might not be able to find him, let alone the full strength of Blood Sun Valley. This lad is indeed a latent danger. Thankfully, his cultivation realm is not high and he's not a huge problem. Xianyang, don't worry. When that lad appears again, I'll capture him alive personally and leave him for you to deal with." "Thank you, father." Chen Xianyang knelt down hurriedly with a delighted expression. If his father was willing to step in, Su Zimo would definitely die if he dared to show himself. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley pondered for a moment. That lad can hide for a while, but he can't hide for the rest of his life. One day, he'll appear again. At that time he'll die. All we have to do now is to wait patiently. Wei Shan nodded as well. That lad's cultivation realm is not high. Even if he hides and cultivates for hundreds or thousands of years, it'll be difficult for him to achieve anything. Right now, the most important thing is to stabilize Blood Sun Valley's status and strength. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley said, "Wei Shan, go and deal with any factions that harbor ill intentions. Kill anyone who challenges the might of Blood Sun Valley without mercy." "Understood." Wei Shan stood up and replied with a murderous gaze. Chapter 1861. Change in Snowwind Ridge. Chapter 1861. Change in Snowwind Ridge. The Desolate Lands, Seclusion Cave Abode. A green figure sat in a lotus position and his black hair swayed without any wind. Circulating his mental cultivation technique, he breathed in and out heaven and earth essence chi that coiled around his body and rose in a dense fog. The entire cave abode was like a paradise. Although he became famous in the battle beneath Dragon Abyss City, Xueqi was not arrogant. He knew in his heart that his cultivation realm was still too low. He was not confident of winning against Lu Tong, who was a grade 8 black immortal, let alone a grade 9 one. Furthermore, this was only the Dragon Abyss star. After all, the Dragon Abyss star was only a remote star under the jurisdiction of the Green Cloud County of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom. Even the native immortals stationed in Dragon Abyss City had limited combat strength. True geniuses and monster incarnates would definitely not come to the Dragon Abyss star. When Xueqi left the Dragon Abyss star in the future, he would definitely face those experts. He had to raise his cultivation as soon as possible. He took out an essence condensation pill from his storage bag and swallowed it before cultivating. Time passed by quickly. Xueqi had been cultivating in his cave abode for 50 years. For other cultivators, 50 years was a fleeting period and their cultivation would not change much. However, Xueqi was already at the peak of the level 5 Black Essence realm and was only a step away from level 6. The Green Lotus True Body, coupled with sufficient cultivation resources and a powerful cultivation technique like the Prajna Nirvana Sutra, was the reason why such an effect could be achieved. Neither of them could be lacking. Xueqi opened his eyes and woke up from his seclusion cultivation. He had encountered a bottleneck. Of course, this bottleneck was nothing to him. As long as he continued cultivating and consuming essence condensation pills, he would be able to break through to the level 6 Black Essence realm in a few hundred years. However, Xueqi did not force himself to cultivate. His spirit consciousness moved and a half-yellow half-green leaf flew out from his storage bag. It was the sal tree leaf. Although it was only a single leaf, it possessed a mysterious might. Xueqi's spirit consciousness merely made contact and he could sense that the leaf was like a vast starry sky that was filled with endless mysteriousness. If this leaf fell into the hands of other factions, they would definitely treasure it and keep it to raise the heaven and earth essence chi in the surroundings. The reason why Xueqi took out the sal tree leaf at that moment was because he wanted to refine it to break through his bottleneck. Back in Tianhuang mainland, he obtained a section of Ashoka wood. Although it was only a small piece of weathered wood, it was an extremely obvious improvement for the growth of the Green Lotus True Body. However, the sal tree leaf was only half withered. It definitely contained an even stronger power. The moment he refined the sal tree leaf, his body shuddered. In a daze, he seemed to have fallen into an indescribable illusion. The cave abode had already vanished. Around him stood countless monks who clasped their palms together and chanted sutras softly with a divine might. The monks looked ahead with pity in their eyes. Xueqi turned around instinctively. Not far ahead, there was an ancient tree with lush leaves. Every single leaf was made up of 7 leaves and shone with a Buddhist light. The sal tree. Xueqi's heart skipped a beat. He realized that the ancient tree before him was one of the legendary sacred trees of the Buddhist monasteries, the sal tree. Beneath the ancient tree, an ancient Buddha sat in a lotus position. He had a benevolent expression and gentle eyes, smiling as he plucked flowers. Xueqi's gaze met with that person's. There was a boom in his mind. Instantly, he seemed to be sitting under the sal tree and listening to the Sanskrit chanted by the monks, entering a mysterious state. He seemed to have fused with the ancient Buddha and experienced everything the latter was experiencing. He comprehended everything the ancient Buddha saw, contemplated and thought about. The ancient Buddha's comprehension of Buddhism had already reached its peak. Xueqi's attainments in Buddhism were insignificant compared to this ancient Buddha. He could clearly sense that the ancient Buddha was undergoing nirvana transcendence beneath the sal tree. Xueqi came to a realization. He vaguely realized that this was the scene of Buddha undergoing nirvana transcendence beneath the sal tree leaf back then. Buddha was imparting the Tao through the sal tree leaf. As Xueqi listened to the Buddhist sutras chanted in his ears, he suddenly realized that they had many similarities with the Prajna Nirvana Sutra he cultivated. At that moment, through the Buddha's nirvana transcendence beneath the sal tree, he gained a brand new understanding of the Buddhist sutra. If anyone was in the cave abode, they would definitely see an extremely shocking scene. Xueqi hovered in midair and countless mysterious golden Sanskrit words circled around his body. There seemed to be a vast Sanskrit sound that lingered in the cave abode. In fact, a gigantic halo appeared behind Su Zimo's head. If anyone from the Buddhist monasteries were to see this, they would be shocked and kneel on the ground to kowtow. Right then, Su Zimo's body shuddered. The surrounding phenomenons vanished instantly. Su Zimo woke up from that mysterious comprehension. The sal tree leaf in front of him had already withered completely and fell slowly, turning into an ordinary withered leaf. When he refined the sal tree leaf and made eye contact with Buddha, it seemed like hundreds or even thousands of years had passed. However, in reality, it only took a few breaths in the cave abode. The illusion of time was extremely mysterious. Su Zimo sensed it and could not help but feel delighted. In just a few breaths, his cultivation had broken through to the level 6 Black Essence realm silently. The Buddha imparting the Tao through the sal tree leaf was an unimaginable opportunity. The bottleneck he encountered was nothing much. In those few breaths, the benefits he obtained were much greater than the dozens of years of cultivation previously. After refining the sal tree leaf, the green lotus true body had also grown significantly. Su Zimo suppressed the joy in his heart and beckoned with his spirit consciousness. Outside the cave abode, a streak of light darted in. It was the glow of a messenger talisman. The reason why he was jolted awake from his comprehension was because of the same fluctuation outside the cave abode. Snow Wind Ridge is in trouble. The streak of light dispersed and turned into 6 elegant words. Su Zimo frowned and his expression darkened. Back when he left Snow Wind Ridge, he handed Xia Qingying a messenger talisman and instructed her to tear it if she encountered any danger. This messaging talisman was meant as a precaution. To think that something would truly happen to Snow Wind Ridge. Without hesitation, Su Zimo pushed the door open and walked out of the cave abode. "Boss, you're out of seclusion." Duan Tianliang hurried over. Yu Hao and the others appeared one after another when they heard the commotion. "Brother Su, did something happen?" Yu Hao asked when he saw that Su Zimo's expression was amiss. Su Zimo said in a deep voice, "Snow Wind Ridge is in trouble. I'll go take a look." Chapter 1862. I'll give you that chance. Chapter 1862. I'll give you that chance. "Boss, I'll go with you," Duan Tianliang said immediately. "Although my cultivation realm is not high, I've stayed in Snow Wind Ridge for many years after all. I'm also someone from Snow Wind Ridge." This time round, Duan Tianliang did not choose to retreat. "Brother Su, Sun Vanquishing Stronghold has been protected by you for so many years. We can't sit by idly today. I'll bring people to join you." Yu Hao stood out as well. However, before he could finish, Su Zimo had already leaped up and transformed into a golden streak of light. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the distant horizon. It was shockingly fast. The situation in Snow Wind Ridge seemed to be dangerous and Su Zimo did not dare to delay. If he were to travel with Yu Hao and the others, it might be too late by the time he arrived at Snow Wind Ridge. As for Su Zimo, he released heavenly feet, boundless golden light and other divine powers alongside his innate divine powers once more. A pair of golden wings grew behind his back and he could travel thousands of kilometers with a single flap. Yu Hao and the others were shocked. With that speed, it was no wonder why Lu Tong returned empty-handed. Suddenly, Yu Hao asked, "Did you guys notice Brother Su's cultivation realm earlier on?" "No." Shen Fei shook his head. "It's only been 50 years. What changes can there be? He's still at the level 5 Black Essence realm." In the upper world, the increase in cultivation was measured in thousands or tens of thousands of years. To everyone, 50 years was nothing but a fleeting moment. For Yu Hao and the others, although they had sufficient cultivation resources, their cultivation realms did not change after 50 years. Brother Su seems to be a grade 6 Black Immortal already. Yu Hao said slowly. "What?" Everyone was shocked. In just 50 years, Su Zimo had broken through to the level 6 Black Essence realm. His cultivation speed was way too terrifying and unbelievable. Yu Hao shook his head. "Perhaps I was wrong." Brother Su flew away the moment he came out of seclusion. "I didn't check carefully either." "Bro, are you hallucinating?" Shen Fei smiled. Upgrading from level 5 to level 6 Black Essence Realm in 50 years is way too ridiculous. Even reincarnated immortals won't be able to do it, right? Not necessarily. Duan Tianliang said, even if others can't, boss can definitely do it. Woof. Big Yellow nodded at the side as well. They knew more about Su Zimo than Yu Hao and the others. They knew very well that the fact that Su Zimo could gather heaven and earth essence chi was already beyond common sense. Big brother, no matter what, let's head to Snow Wind Ridge to help as soon as possible. Gu Wenjun said. Yu Hao nodded. There's no time to lose. Let's set off now. Snow Wind Ridge. The flames of war raged and figures appeared one after another. Killing was rampant as blood splattered everywhere. The wails, roars and cries for help intertwined like a blood-colored slaughterhouse. This could not be considered as a battle, but a massacre. Blood Sun Valley's massacre of Snow Wind Ridge. Although Snow Wind Ridge had close to 10,000 people and was a medium-sized faction, most of them were Grade 1 and 2 Black Immortals. Snow Wind Ridge only had slightly more than 1,000 guards. Even for those guards, most of them were only Grade 3 Black Immortals and there were extremely few Grade 4 Black Immortals. However, this time round, Chen Xianyang led a full 20,000 troops and 3 Grade 7 Black Immortals personally. In the army of Blood Sun Valley, the weakest were Grade 4 and 5 Black Immortals. There were even many Grade 6 Black Immortals. Be it in terms of numbers or overall strength, Snow Wind Ridge was way too inferior. Of the 20,000 troops, only half of the cultivators of Blood Sun Valley attacked. The remaining 10,000 surrounded Snow Wind Ridge tightly. Even though many Snow Wind Ridge cultivators were long defeated and fled in all directions, they could not escape. Corpses were strewn everywhere in Snow Wind Ridge and blood flowed like rivers. The immortal herbs in the spirit fields had already withered and fallen into the blood river. A one-armed man in silver-white armor rode on a tall horse and stood in front of the army of Blood Sun Valley. He looked at everything excitedly with a violent and bloodthirsty glint in his eyes. He was the young master of Blood Sun Valley, Chen Xianyang. Kill! 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 Chen Xianyang grinned and shouted excitedly, apart from that slut Xia Qingying, kill everyone else. Leave no one alive. One of the protectors of Blood Sun Valley, Wei Shan, frowned slightly and said softly, Young master, if any cultivator is willing to submit to Blood Sun Valley, why don't we spare his life? No. Chen Xianyang waved his hand and said coldly, kill them all. That's the only way we can establish our dominance and let the major and minor factions in this area know what happens if they rebel against Blood Sun Valley. Wei Shan sighed internally and did not persuade further. Ever since Chen Xianyang returned from a crushing defeat in the 100,000 Mountains 50 years ago and lost his arm, his style of doing things had changed significantly and his personality had turned violent. Prior to this, although Chen Xianyang was ruthless, he would still pretend to be a humble gentleman on the surface. After losing his arm, he no longer hid his emotions and shed his hypocrisy, revealing his true cruelty. If it was in the past, Chen Xianyang would definitely not do what he did today in order to protect his image. But now, he was willing to resort to any means for his own motives. Snow Wind Ridge. Xia Qingying was drenched in blood as she hugged her father's corpse. Tears streamed down her face in extreme pain. At that moment, she felt devastated and even wanted to commit suicide to follow her father. During this period of time, many cultivators of Blood Sun Valley passed by her but none of them killed her. She knew that this must be Chen Xuanyang's order. When she heard the cries of the Snow Wind Ridge cultivators, Xia Qingying took a deep breath, as though she had made a decision. She wiped away the tears on her face with a resolute gaze. She put down her father's corpse and shouted in the direction of the Blood Sun Valley army, Chen Xianyang, give the order to stop and let the others off. I, Xia Qingying, am at your disposal and will agree to all your requests. Mistress, you can't. In the pool of blood, a person was covered in injuries as he struggled to stand up. It was Old Yen. A Blood Sun Valley cultivator rode on his cavalry and charged over. Amidst his laughter, he collided heavily against Old Yen and the sound of bones cracking could be heard. Old Yen rolled dozens of feet away and fell into a pool of blood, coughing out large mouthfuls of blood. His gaze was dim and his life force was weak. Ha 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 ha. Chen Xianyang burst into laughter. Bitch, It's too late for you to beg for mercy now. I'll kill all living beings of Snow Wind Ridge and you'll still be mine. Xia Qingying clenched her fists and trembled. Tears welled up in her eyes as she tried her best not to cry. Chen Xianyang. Xia Qingying shouted, "You're a coward. Don't even think about recovering your severed arm. You'll never be able to compare to him." Those words struck Chen Xuanyang's sore spot. Instantly, his expression darkened. When he recalled the past, he grit his teeth with a venomous expression and his features contorted. "Bitch, let me tell you," Chen Xianyang said coldly. Su Zimo offended a few major factions of Dragon Abyss City and wouldn't dare to appear at all. If he dares to appear, I'll definitely take revenge for my broken arm and wash away my previous humiliation. Chen Xianyang, I'll give you that chance. Right then, a roar sounded from the distant horizon. It was like thunder that rumbled with endless rage and killing intent. Chapter 1863. Scared out of his wits. Chapter 1863. Scared out of his wits. What? Chen Xuanyang's heart skipped a beat when he heard that voice and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Even after 50 years, he was no stranger to that voice and guessed that person's identity almost immediately. Su Zimo. How was that possible? This person had disappeared for a full 50 years. Why would he appear here at this time? Chen Xianyang could not believe it and could not help but look over. When the voice first sounded, it was still at the horizon. However, by the time Chen Xianyang turned around, Su Zimo had already arrived before the army and was less than 100 feet away from him. Su Zimo's expression was cold and his gaze was like a knife, emitting a chilling intent that could pierce Chen Xuanyang's heart. Arg! When Su Zimo looked at him, he could not help but recall the scene 50 years ago and his expression changed starkly. He was scared out of his wits. He had long forgotten the boast he made earlier on. That figure was like a nightmare that had haunted him for 50 years and could not be forgotten. Nobody could imagine the fear and impact Su Zimo had on Chen Xianyang. Or rather, cultivators who had not experienced the Battle of the 100,000 Mountains or witnessed the battle beneath Dragon Abyss City could not understand Chen Xuanyang's fear at the moment. Chen Xuanyang's heart was about to jump out of his chest. He rode on his mount and turned to flee towards Blood Sun Valley in a panic. The battle beneath Dragon Abyss City 50 years ago had long spread through the Dragon Abyss Star. Many cultivators of Blood Sun Valley had heard of Su Zimo's notorious reputation as well. Now that they saw Su Zimo personally, their hearts skipped a beat. When the Blood Sun Valley army saw Chen Xianyang flee without fighting, they became restless. Before the fight even began, everyone from Blood Sun Valley was flustered. A pair of golden wings appeared behind Su Zimo with a torrential aura. He tore through the air like a god with an unstoppable might. Snow Wind Ridge. Xia Qingying looked at the figure that rushed over at lightning speed and tears welled up in her eyes. She could no longer control them as they spilled onto her clothes. She had only torn the messaging talisman out of helplessness. She did not dare to hope that Su Zimo would appear. After all, the two of them did not have a deep relationship. Would someone who had disappeared for 50 years appear because of a talisman of hers? Xia Qingying could see the weathered expression on Su Zimo's face. She did not know how long that person had run before he arrived at Snow Wind Ridge at the final moment. "Father, did you see that?" Xia Qingying cried. "Snow Wind Ridge is saved. We're saved." No one replied. The territorial lord of Snow Wind Ridge was already dead. "Father, open your eyes and take a look." Xia Qingying could no longer hold on and collapsed weakly on the ground, hugging her father's corpse and crying. She was no longer worried about herself or Snow Wind Ridge. She believed that with this person around, Snow Wind Ridge would definitely be able to tide through this calamity. Some of the surviving cultivators of Snow Wind Ridge were excited when they saw Su Zimo. Old Yen fell into a pool of blood and was about to lose consciousness. However, when he heard that familiar voice, he was invigorated and struggled to sit up, as though it was his final respite of lucidity before death. "Is that Brother Su? He's back to visit us." Old Yen smiled blankly. "Protector, save me!" Chen Xianyang shouted in fear as Su Zimo approached. He had a feeling that Su Zimo was going to kill him on the spot. Su Zimo was here for him. Wei Shan had a grim expression, but he still stopped Chen Xianyang and said in a deep voice, "Young master, don't panic. You're the commander of the army. If you escape, the morale of the army will be in chaos. How are we going to suppress this person in that case?" "You don't understand." Chen Xianyang growled. "Su Zimo will definitely kill me today. He won't let me off." "Young master, Blood Sun Valley has an army of 20,000 and our 3 protectors. Do we have to be afraid of a grade 5 black immortal?" A protector asked in a deep voice. Right then, as though he sensed something, Wei Shan's expression changed as he exclaimed, "Something's not right. He's not a grade 5 black immortal. He's a grade 6. What? That's impossible." The 2 protectors and Chen Xianyang were shocked and in disbelief. Chen Xianyang gulped. "How is that possible? When I first met him 60 years ago, he was only a grade 4 black immortal. 50 years ago, he was only a grade 5 black immortal. Now, he's already at the level 6 black essence realm?" The other 2 protectors released their spirit consciousnesses hurriedly and scanned Su Zimo as well. "Indeed. Grade 6 black immortal. Get lost, don't stop me." Chen Xianyang was even more reluctant to stay. Waving his spear, he rode on his mount and broke through the crowd, escaping wildly towards Blood Sun Valley. A Blood Sun Valley cultivator stood in front of him by accident. Without hesitation, Chen Xianyang stabbed the person to death and charged over. "Our cultivation realms are superior to his after all. What's there to fear?" "That's right. Today, I'm going to see just how strong Su Zimo is." 2 protectors hollered and leaped up, attacking at the same time and releasing their divine powers and secret skills. Their understanding of Su Zimo merely stopped at some rumors. Therefore, their fear of Su Zimo was not as strong as Chen Xuanyang's. "Blood Sun Valley Army. Listen up. Attack with all your might and kill this person." Wei Shan took a deep breath and waved his hand as well. He knew very well that he could not retreat now. If he escaped like Chen Xianyang, the remaining Blood Sun Valley army would be in a state of disunity. Given the speed that Su Zimo displayed, there was no way he could escape. The only way to survive was to fight to the death. As long as they could hold Su Zimo back, they could buy time even if they had to use their lives. Once Chen Xianyang brought the news back to Blood Sun Valley and the Valley Master came personally, he would definitely be able to kill this lad. However, Su Zimo was way too fast. Before the many Blood Sun Valley troops could react, the golden wings on his back flapped and he had already swept past the top of the army's head. At that moment, the divine powers and secret skills of the 2 protectors of Blood Sun Valley were already formed and enveloped Su Zimo. The 2 of them were grade 7 black immortals after all. The 2 protectors reacted quickly and attacked beforehand, sealing Su Zimo's escape path. Wei Shan condensed a divine power with one hand and threw out a gigantic bronze seal with the other, smashing it towards Su Zimo's head. "Humph." Su Zimo harumphed coldly and ignored the incoming divine powers and dermic treasures. He channeled his essence spirit and used the secret skill of the dragon race on the bronze square tripod. True Dragon 9 flashes. Swoosh. In a flash, Su Zimo vanished from the spot. When he reappeared, he had already crossed the obstruction of the 3 protectors and arrived behind them. "Chen Xianyang, die!" Su Zimo glared at Chen Xuanyang's back view and shouted. In that shout, Su Zimo merely made use of his essence spirit alongside the roar of the dragon phoenix. The might of a taboo descended. Chen Xuanyang's mount let out a tragic cry and collapsed to the ground, trembling with pee and feces flowing. Chapter 1864. Terrifying Killing. Chapter 1864. Terrifying Killing. Caught off guard, Chen Xianyang was sent flying from his mount. His reaction was extremely fast as well as he twisted his body as much as possible in midair to stabilize himself before staggering to the ground. Just as he was about to continue escaping, he heard a buzzing sound behind him and a gust of wind approached rapidly. The wings on Su Zimo's back flapped and he transformed into a golden streak of light that traveled thousands of kilometers instantly. He had already caught up to Chen Xianyang while the latter was stabilizing himself in midair. Chen Xianyang had a horrified expression and had already realized that he could not escape. Fellow Taoist Su, as long as you're willing to let me off, the feud between you and Blood Sun Valley will be written off. He turned around and begged, Chen Xianyang, swear that I'll never cause trouble for you again. If I spare you today, who will pay with their lives for the cultivators of Snow Wind Ridge? Su Zimo's expression was cold and he was unmoved. He reached out and slapped Chen Xianyang on the head. Ah! There was no way Chen Xianyang could wait for death. With a deep growl, he spun his spear with one arm and channeled his blood chi to stab upwards, wanting to knock Su Zimo down from midair. In Chen Xuanyang's opinion, as long as he could delay for a moment and wait for Wei Shan and the others to arrive, he would have a chance to survive. Unfortunately, this was Su Zimo he was up against. Su Zimo's gaze intensified as he extended his palm. In a flash, he grabbed the spear tip and pushed down with his physical strength. A crack sounded in Chen Xuanyang's ears like thunder. The spear was snapped from the middle by Su Zimo. Chen Xuanyang's palm was torn and dripping with blood. He could not hold on to the remaining half of the spear and it flew out of his hands. As for Su Zimo, he gripped the remaining half of the spear and descended from the skies, piercing down at Chen Xuanyang's head. Half of the spear entered Chen Xuanyang's head and pierced through his consciousness and head. Chen Xuanyang's eyes widened with a dull gaze and his face was still filled with fear. With a thud, Chen Xianyang died on the spot. The fight between the two of them happened in the blink of an eye. Chen Xuanyang's counterattack did not pose any threat to Su Zimo. Instead, he was killed on the spot. Before the three protectors of Blood Sun Valley could recover from the strange scene of Su Zimo disappearing before them, Chen Xianyang was already dead. Young Master. Wei Shan looked at Chen Xianyang who was lying in a pool of blood with a conflicted expression. To a certain extent, Chen Xuanyang's feeling this time round was right. He was the first person Su Zimo wanted to kill. However, even if he knew, he could not escape and was the first to die. The Blood Sun Valley army fell into a momentary silence as well. Earlier on, Chen Xianyang was still in high spirits and led the three armies. But now, Chen Xianyang was a corpse. Wei Shan took a deep breath and said slowly, "Fellow Taoists of Blood Sun Valley, listen up. We're going to take revenge for the young master and we won't allow the dignity of Blood Sun Valley to be provoked like this." His words caused many Blood Sun Valley cultivators to snap out of their shock. Kill! Another Blood Sun Valley protector waved his arm and led the charge. The army of Blood Sun Valley swarmed over with a torrential aura as well. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Boom, boom, boom. Instantly, countless dermic treasures tore through the air and covered the skies densely like locusts. Immortal arts and divine powers shone brightly in midair as well, causing the world to change and dust to fly. The survivors of Snow Wind Ridge were worried when they saw that. When they attacked Snow Wind Ridge, Blood Sun Valley only had 10,000 troops fighting. Even so, Snow Wind Ridge did not last long before they were completely defeated. But now, there were 20,000 of them. However, there was only a single person the 20,000-strong army had to deal with. Even if the 20,000-strong army of Blood Sun Valley charged over without doing anything, they might be able to trample the seemingly frail Su Zimo to death. Su Zimo did not release the Kachurati Dao fire. This was Snow Wind Ridge and there were many cultivators who survived not far away. If he released the Kachurati Dao fire, although it could severely injure the Blood Sun Valley army, it would also injure the cultivators of Snow Wind Ridge. Snow Wind Ridge would be burned into ruins as well. Against the endless dermic treasures and divine powers, Su Zimo rose slowly into the air and waved his hands in front of him, drawing mysterious trajectories. Spirit Turtle Shield Condense! Su Zimo hollered and channeled his innate divine power. In front of him, a gigantic ancient turtle shell appeared with curved ravines etched on it that shone with a bedazzling divine light. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of metal clashing echoed when the dermic treasures struck the ancient turtle shell. A single dermic treasure had no effect on the spirit turtle shield. However, the 10,000 dermic treasures blanketed the skies and gathered into an unimaginable power. Against such an impact, the divine light on the spirit turtle shield flickered. At the same time, many immortal arts and divine powers descended. Bang! Bang! A deafening bang sounded from the spirit turtle shield. The divine light on the turtle shell finally dimmed under the bombardment of the immortal arts and divine powers. Crack! 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 A cracking sound came from the turtle shell. Immediately after, right in front of everyone, the spirit turtle shield shattered. When Wei Shan saw that, he was invigorated and shouted, "That's all there is to him. As long as you guys join forces, you'll definitely be able to kill him." The moment he said that, Wei Shan felt his heart skip a beat. The turtle shell exploded and dust dispersed. Standing in midair, Su Zimo conjured sword arts with both hands and was filled with endless killing intent. Like an unsheathed sword, he was sharp and his sword chi surged into the skies. The killing intent shook the world and disrupted the firmaments. Massive stars appeared one after another in the skies. However, the stars were drawn in by some unknown power and their trajectories were chaotic as they crushed one another. The ground trembled as well, as though a supreme ferocious spirit was about to break out of the ground. When the heaven's killing intent is released, the stars are shifted out of alignment. When the earth's killing intent is released, the dragon snake shall rise. Slay! Su Zimo waved his hands and slashed forward with his sword finger. TSK! 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 Instantly, he pointed his sword with his right hand and countless sword chi spewed out. It was a blinding white and tore through the air with a torrential killing intent. Roar! Pest! On the other side, Su Zimo's left sword finger slashed out a dragon snake. In the firmaments, a divine dragon swooped down and charged into the crowd. Everywhere it passed, people were overturned. A gigantic crack appeared on the ground and a scarlet behemoth charged out. It was bathed in scorching lava and flapped its wings, roaring into the skies. The heaven-slaying sword chi rampaged and reaped lives. The earth-slaying sword chi condensed into a dragon snake and massacred living beings. At that moment, the two sword arts revealed a terrifying killing power. Chapter 1865. Domineering Suppression. Chapter 1865. Domineering Suppression. Sword chi buzzed and killing intent swept through the battlefield. The apocalyptic scene of the two sword arts reappeared. Actually, no matter how powerful the two sword arts were, Su Zimo was alone and his cultivation realm was not overwhelming. As long as the 20,000 Blood Sun Valley troops joined forces, they would definitely be able to neutralize the two sword arts and minimize the casualties. However, the dragon snake charged into the army and dispersed the 20,000 Blood Sun Valley troops, leaving them to fend for themselves. The heaven-slaying sword chi descended from the skies and dealt an extremely terrifying killing blow to the cultivators of Blood Sun Valley. Against the heaven-slaying sword chi and earth-slaying dragon snake, the grade 4 and 5 Black Immortals of the Blood Sun Valley army could not defend at all. A single heaven-slaying sword chi could even penetrate the bodies of two grade 4 and 5 Black Immortals in succession before dissipating. Right in front of everyone from Snow Wind Ridge, the crowd on the battlefield fell one after another like harvested wheat. Wei Shan and the other two attacked as well, piercing the dragon snake and defending against many heaven-slaying sword chi before charging towards Su Zimo. The three of them knew that the only way to dispel the killing power of that terrifying sword chi was to kill Su Zimo as soon as possible. Kill! Wei Shan and the other two hollered and closed in. The protector on the left wielded a long sword that quivered like a spirit snake hissing. Sword chi howled. He was a sword cultivator. The protector on the right did not advance and stood not far away. Controlling his flying sword with one hand, he condensed a divine power with the other and attacked Su Zimo. Wei Shan wielded his saber in his right hand and a gigantic bronze seal in his left, facing Su Zimo head-on. Su Zimo was fearless against the encirclement of the three grade 7 Black Immortals. Back in Dragon Abyss City, when he was only a grade 5 Black Immortal, he was surrounded by 5 or 6 grade 7 Black Immortals but he killed them. Now that his cultivation had broken through and his strength had increased, there was no longer a need for him to use any divine powers or secret skills against the encirclement of the 3 grade 7 Black Immortals. Su Zimo's glabella shone and his spirit consciousness moved. A bronze square tripod flew out and smashed towards the sword cultivator on the left. To be fair, the sword cultivator's sword technique was rather exquisite. However, no matter how advanced the person's sword technique was, he could break it with brute force. The sword cultivator wielded a sword and his sword beam flickered. It was illusory and fake. However, the bronze square tripod's aura was shocking, as though it wanted to smash a hole in the firmaments. Clang! The bronze square tripod collided against the sword. The sword cultivator shuddered and his gaze froze. Crack, crack, crack. Clear cracks had already appeared on the sword. Immediately after, the sword exploded and countless sword fragments flew back under the tremendous force of the bronze square tripod. The sword cultivator was extremely close and could not dodge at all. More than half of the sword fragments entered his body. In the blink of an eye, the sword cultivator was riddled with holes by his own sword and collapsed weakly to the ground, no longer able to survive. After summoning the bronze square tripod, Xueqi did not even look at the sword cultivator. He had expected this. Waving his sleeves, he suddenly waved out a handful of yellow sand. The utmost treasure of the green lotus, 9 heavens living soil. The yellow sand shone brightly and formed a barrier, blocking the flying sword and divine powers of the other protector. At the same time, the yellow sand moved with the wind and enveloped the protector as though it was sentient. Ah! The person exclaimed and wanted to retreat. However, the yellow sand was even faster and circled around him, enveloping him with a single breath. The yellow sand surged and rubbed against one another. Every single speck of yellow sand released an extremely terrifying power that struck the protector. Poof! Instantly, the protector was crushed into a blood mist by the yellow sand. The yellow sand shone with a golden light and was not tainted by any blood. It was extraordinary. By the time Wei Shan arrived with the gigantic seal and saber, the 2 protectors of Blood Sun Valley were already dead. Wei Shan was shocked. Although he had long heard of the battle beneath Dragon Abyss City 50 years ago, he had not expected Xueqi to display such terrifying methods. The moment Wei Shan met with Xueqi's gaze, his heart skipped a beat. This is bad. Wei Shan lamented internally, but he tried his best to compose himself. Gripping his saber tightly, he slashed down at Xueqi's face. That slash swept up sharp wind blades. This was a high-quality light-grade saber technique, the wind saber. When released at full strength, it would produce endless wind blades with immense lethality. Immobilize! Xueqi's expression was calm as he said a single word. Wei Shan shuddered and felt a strange power descend. He could not move at all. Instantly, countless blades dissipated. Wei Shan's blood chi surged and he let out a deep growl, channeling his essence spirit wildly to break free from that power. However, at the same time, his vision darkened. You're dead. Those words sounded in Wei Shan's ears. The next moment, he felt a sharp pain in his head and his essence spirit shattered, dying on the spot. With the help of the body immobilization technique, the momentary restriction was enough for Xueqi to kill Wei Shan with ease. The 3 Grade 7 Black Immortals of Blood Sun Valley were dead. On the battlefield, even the heaven and earth slaying sword arts could not kill an entire 20,000-strong army. Xueqi stood in midair with a cold expression and channeled his essence spirit once more to condense a divine power. He extended his finger and pointed forward. Boom! In the firmaments, a thick gray stone pillar tore through the clouds and descended from the skies. A lifelike divine dragon coiled around the stone pillar. Innate divine power, ancestral dragon divine pillar. Boom! Boom! The ancestral dragon divine pillar fell into the crowd and crushed more than 10 Blood Sun Valley cultivators who could not dodge in time. Xueqi's spirit consciousness moved and the gigantic and thick ancestral dragon divine pillar fell towards the crowd. Many cultivators retreated in shock. Immediately after, under Xueqi's control, the ancestral dragon divine pillar released a torrential might and crushed towards the crowd. It was an extremely shocking sight. It was as though a supreme divine being was rolling a stone pillar and crushing the ants that were escaping on the ground mercilessly. The cultivators of Blood Sun Valley fled wildly. However, there were still many cultivators who could not avoid the fall of the ancestral dragon divine pillar and were crushed into sludge with their essence spirits destroyed. Xueqi, You've killed so many people of Blood Sun Valley. The Valley Master will definitely tear you into pieces. A Blood Sun Valley cultivator roared hysterically with a deranged expression. Poof! The ancestral dragon divine pillar crushed over and the cultivator's body exploded instantly. Even the 20,000-strong army of Blood Sun Valley could not defend against Xueqimo's attacks. Right then, the ground began to quake irregularly and dust billowed in the distance, as though a massive army was rushing over. The expressions of everyone from Snow Wind Ridge changed. Could reinforcements from Blood Sun Valley have arrived? Everyone from Blood Sun Valley was invigorated. Xueqimo, you're finished. The Valley Master has led an army here personally. Prepare to die. The Blood Sun Valley cultivator looked into the distance expectantly. Before long, a towering giant appeared on the distant horizon and sprinted over in huge strides. Behind him were countless demon beasts that were charging over with a massive might and killing intent. What is that? Many Blood Sun Valley cultivators were shocked and confused. Chapter 1866. Complete Defeat. Chapter 1866. Complete Defeat. The tall giant shone with a silver luster like molten steel. His face was menacing and he had no nose. He opened his mouth and let out a deafening roar. It's the giant race. It looks like the silver giant. What are these demon beasts and living beings doing? There were less than 10,000 cultivators left in Blood Sun Valley. As for the demon beasts that were charging over, there were tens of thousands of them and dust billowed with a terrifying might, as though they wanted to devour them. Look, there are cultivators riding on the backs of some demon beasts. A Blood Sun Valley cultivator exclaimed with widened eyes. Everyone focused their gazes hurriedly. Indeed. Among the tens of thousands of demon beasts, there were more than 1,000 human cultivators mixed in. All of them were murderous and their leader was a grade 7 black immortal. Howl! The silver giant strode forward and reached out with his thick arms, hugging an ancient tree beside him and roaring. The towering ancient tree was uprooted from the mud by the silver giant. When they saw that shocking divine strength, everyone from Blood Sun Valley was dumbfounded and their faces turned pale. The silver giant supported the towering ancient tree and slashed it a few times with his arm, snapping all the branches. In the blink of an eye, the towering ancient tree turned into a thick wooden rod in the hands of the silver giant. The silver giant soared into the skies and hugged the ancient tree with both hands, smashing it towards the Blood Sun Valley army on the battlefield. Boom! There was a loud bang. That single attack from the silver giant killed at least dozens of Blood Sun Valley cultivators. Ow! 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 With an excited expression, the silver giant hugged the towering ancient tree with both hands and swung in the crowd with his shocking divine strength. The cultivators of Blood Sun Valley could not defend against it at all. The demon beast army behind the silver giant charged forward as well. The Ing Zhao, a human-faced horse, charged forward and trampled through the crowd. Any cultivator that was trampled was either dead or injured. A gigantic bee flapped its wings and let out a shuddering buzzing sound. The gigantic poison needle on its tail could actually break free from the bee's tail and roam the crowd. Even though they were merely scratched by the poisonous needles, the cultivators of Blood Sun Valley began to emit thick smoke and blood. Before long, they turned into pus and were destroyed. A 9-headed bird cried into the skies and passed through the crowd. Its 9 heads swayed and it opened its mouths at the same time, devouring 9 Blood Sun Valley cultivators in one go. The remaining Blood Sun Valley cultivators were already in a mess after Xueqimo's massacre. But now, they were completely defeated by the tens of thousands of demon beasts and countless were injured or dead. Everyone from Snow Wind Ridge was shocked. They still could not understand why powerful living beings like the Silver Giant would rush over to help Snow Wind Ridge. The remaining Blood Sun Valley cultivators could not fight at all and could only flee in panic. However, their remaining horses were scared out of their wits by the auras of the powerful ferocious beasts and terrifying living beings as they slumped on the ground. Given the speed of the Blood Sun Valley cultivators' movement techniques, they could not escape the pursuit of the many demon beasts. Some of the demon beasts were bloodshot and even charged towards Xueqi and the others with killing intent. In the eyes of those demon beasts, There was no distinction between Blood Sun Valley and Snow Wind Ridge. In the eyes of the demons, those cultivators were food that could be devoured. And no. Right then, a figure rode over on a yellow dog and stopped many demon beasts, shouting, "These are our own people. Don't kill them." Fatty Duan. Someone in Snow Wind Ridge recognized the figure on the big yellow dog and exclaimed softly. Xia Qingying focused her gaze. This was Duan Tianliang, who was taken away from Snow Wind Ridge by Su Zimo. In just 60 years, Duan Tianliang had already cultivated to the level 3 Black Essence realm. Although many demon beasts recognized Duan Tianliang and knew that he was someone who followed Su Zimo, they were not bothered by his orders. Some demon beasts stopped in time and retracted their killing intent. However, some of the demon beasts ignored Duan Tianliang and lunged towards Xia Qingying and the others. Swoosh! Right then, a blazing saber beam descended from the skies and slashed down, as though it wanted to slice the world into two. Boom! Boom! There was a loud bang. Instantly, the demon beasts that charged towards everyone from Snow Wind Ridge were sliced at the waist by the blazing saber beam and fresh blood spewed. The saber beam was so terrifying that a gigantic ravine was drawn on the ground, dyed scarlet with blood. The corpses of the demon beasts that were sliced at the waist almost filled the ravine in a shocking manner. Those demon beasts were killed by that slash before they could even touch Xia Qingying and the others. The demons were shocked. Some demon beasts that had yet to charge forward stopped hurriedly. After killing Wei Shan, Su Zimo snatched the saber in the former's hands and slashed it in reverse. Su Zimo flew over with a cold expression. Although the demon beast army was strong, they were not easy to control at the end of the day. Once they started fighting, it was easy for them to go berserk at the sight of blood. Su Zimo's slash calmed the demons instantly. The ravine filled with demon beast corpses was also a reminder to the remaining demons. Anyone who crossed that line would be killed without mercy. The demons understood Su Zimo's intentions and turned around, charging towards the remaining Blood Sun Valley cultivators. There was no doubt about this battle. Not many of the remaining cultivators of Blood Sun Valley could escape from the encirclement of tens of thousands of demon beasts. Su Zimo descended from midair and arrived before Xia Qingying and the others. Xia Qingying looked at Su Zimo and forced a smile. "You're here." She should be thankful and grateful right now. However, at that moment, she hugged her father's corpse that was turning cold gradually and felt extremely sorrowful. She was dismal and truly did not want to say anything. Su Zimo looked at Xia Qingying and sighed gently. He had never met the territorial lord of Snow Wind Ridge before. To think that the territorial lord would already be dead upon their first meeting today. "Brother Su, I knew that you would definitely come." Right then, a weak voice sounded not far away. Su Zimo looked in the direction of the voice and saw a man covered in blood sitting weakly on the ground. His face was dark and his gaze was cloudy. His life force was weak and he was already at the end of his road. Old Yen. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. He hurried forward and took out a few pills from his storage bag, stuffing them into Old Yan's mouth. However, those pills fell out the moment they entered his mouth. Old Yen panted slightly. He did not even have the strength to swallow the pills. "Brother Su, I won't be able to make it." The corners of Old Yan's mouth twitched, as though he wanted to laugh. "It's not bad to be able to see you again before death." As though he recalled something, Old Yen suddenly grabbed Su Zimo's wrist. "Brother Su, my child and Dao companion were separated from me in the battle earlier on. I'm worried about them upon my passing. I hope you can help me find them." At that point, Old Yen could no longer breathe. Su Zimo looked at Xia Qingying instinctively. Xia Qingying's expression dimmed as she shook her head gently. Su Zimo understood that Old Yan's child and Dao companion were already dead. However, he did not say the truth and merely nodded. "Old Yen, don't worry. I'll find them and take care of them." Su Zimo could not finish. By the time he turned back, Old Yen was already dead. Chapter 1867. Killing into Blood Sun Valley. Chapter 1867. Killing into Blood Sun Valley. Su Zimo did not have a deep relationship with Old Yen. To him, Old Yen was only the first person he knew after arriving in the upper world. However, for some reason, Su Zimo still felt a sense of sadness when he saw Old Yen die. That was because he could see the fate of most ascenders from Old Yen. Old Yen was a reflection of those who ascended from the lower worlds. Through Old Yen, Su Zimo seemed to be able to see everything that his old friends would experience after ascending to the upper world from Tianhuang mainland. It was an uncomfortable feeling. Su Zimo felt a tightness in his chest, as though he had nowhere to vent. How could this be? Su Zimo asked, why would Blood Sun Valley attack Snow Wind Ridge? 50 years ago, Blood Sun Valley suffered a huge defeat in the 100,000 Mountains and their reputation fell to rock bottom. Many factions in the vicinity want to break free from Blood Sun Valley's control. Xia Qingying said, after that, Blood Sun Valley sent an army to suppress those factions mercilessly. Snow Wind Ridge did not have a head-on conflict with Blood Sun Valley. Father merely ordered us to stop our trip to Blood Sun Valley to exchange for essence condensation pills. Instead, we'll collect the immortal herbs and make plans after the situation is stabilized. Xia Qingying laughed bitterly. That decision enraged Chen Xianyang and he sent an army of 20,000. Su Zimo stood up slowly and sprinted into the distance with a sinister gaze, exuding a terrifying aura. Boss, where are you going? Duan Tianliang asked hurriedly. Blood Sun Valley. After saying that, a pair of gigantic golden wings appeared behind Su Zimo. With a flap of his wings, he transformed into a golden streak of light and disappeared from everyone's line of sight instantly. Ah! Suddenly, Xia Qingying reacted and said hurriedly, no. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley is a Grade 8 Black Immortal. There should be an army of more than 10,000 cultivators in Blood Sun Valley as well. Fellow Taoist Su, you can't go alone. By the time Xia Qingying was done speaking, Su Zimo had already vanished. Duan Tianliang, hurry and bring people to Blood Sun Valley to help fellow Taoist Su. Xia Qingying took a deep breath and tried her best to break free from her grief. There's no longer any danger here. We can't let fellow Taoist Su fight against the entire Blood Sun Valley alone. Duan Tianliang nodded and looked for Yu Haods. Brother Yu, take the people of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold with you and let's head to Blood Sun Valley together. Boss is already on the way. Duan Tianliang said, leave Snow Wind Ridge to these demon beasts. With the Silver Giant, Gigantic Bee, Nine-Headed Bird and a few other experts, these demon beasts won't cause any trouble. All right. Yu Hao's eyes shone with killing intent as he said in a deep voice, Brothers of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold, listen up. We'll kill our way into Blood Sun Valley today and take revenge for our dead kin. Charge into Blood Sun Valley. More than 1,000 cultivators of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold roared. Let's go. Yu Hao waved his hand and ordered everyone to speed in the direction of Blood Sun Valley. Blood Sun Valley. The young master and the others should be back soon, right? That's not for sure. The young master destroyed Snow Wind Ridge and captured the mistress of Snow Wind Ridge. Who knows, he might even spend a night in Snow Wind Ridge to have some fun with her, hee. The few guards at the entrance were bored and gathered together, laughing. The young master has his eyes on that lass for quite a few years now. Previously, he was even willing to put on an act like a hero saving a beauty. Someone laughed. Our young master has finally thought things through this time round. No matter what, he'll just get his hands on that lass first. What's that over there? Another person looked into the distance and frowned slightly. In the distant horizon, a golden light was approaching at an astonishing speed. Many Blood Sun Valley guards were startled and dispersed hurriedly, on guard. A guard even took out a messenger talisman from his storage bag and gripped it in his palm with a tense expression. In a few breaths, the golden light had already arrived and a figure appeared. He stood in midair with black hair and green robes with a cold expression. Who's there? A Blood Sun Valley guard shouted. That person looks familiar. Another guard seemed to have thought of something and his expression changed as he exclaimed, Su Zimo. He's Su Zimo. The moment he said that, Su Zimo had already walked through the air and flicked his finger casually. Sharp sword chi burst forth and entered the glabella of the guards. The few guards were only grade 5 black immortals and could not defend at all. When Su Zimo walked past them, they fell to the ground one after another, dead. However, a Blood Sun Valley guard had already shattered the talisman in his palm before his death. Enemy attack! A sharp cry sounded from Blood Sun Valley. Instantly, many cultivators woke up from their cultivation and walked out of their cave abodes, wanting to check things out with their powerful auras. In midair, a golden light tore through the skies and sped towards the depths of Blood Sun Valley. Many Blood Sun Valley cultivators could not even see what the golden light was. "Stop it!" one of them shouted. Swoosh, swoosh, boom, boom. Dermic treasures rained down one after another. Divine powers and immortal arts rained down and sealed Su Zimo's path of retreat completely. "You must have a death wish." The golden light paused and revealed Su Zimo's figure. "It's him! Su Zimo!" Many cultivators recognized Su Zimo and exclaimed. 3 balls of scorching flame surrounded Su Zimo. The heat wave was oppressive and no one dared to approach him. He waved his hands and the 3 balls of flames gathered rapidly. It was only at that moment that the cultivators of Blood Sun Valley recalled the many legends about the battle beneath Dragon Abyss City 50 years ago. Condense! Su Zimo threw out the Samadhi Dao fire. At the same time, his essence spirit released a flare that entered the Samadhi Dao fire. A blaze surged. The Kacharati Dao fire descended and spread rapidly, showing signs of engulfing the entire Blood Sun Valley. A sun had truly fallen onto Blood Sun Valley. Many cultivators could not dodge in time and fell into the sea of flames. They could not escape at all and were burned to ashes in the blink of an eye. Countless cultivators struggled, fled and shrieked in the sea of flames. Those cultivators could not even fend for themselves, let alone take care of Su Zimo who was in midair. Su Zimo's gaze was burning, as though it could penetrate the voids, and landed on a magnificent palace in the depths of Blood Sun Valley. The moment he entered Blood Sun Valley, he could sense an extremely domineering aura emanating from the palace. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley. In a flash, Su Zimo passed through the sea of flames and the crowd and arrived before the palace. Without stopping, he smashed open the door and barged in. A figure sat on a high seat in the middle of the hall, staring at Su Zimo who had barged in expressionlessly. Chapter 1868. Deranged Fiend Secret Skill. Chapter 1868. Deranged Fiend Secret Skill. Su Zimo. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley glared at the figure at the entrance of the palace with a sharp expression. Although the two of them had never met before, he could guess right away that the black-haired, green-robed cultivator before him was Su Zimo who had risen to fame on the Dragon Abyss Star over the years. Their gazes met in midair, completely at odds. An extremely terrifying aura emanated from the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley as he asked slowly, "Is my son, Shenyang, still alive?" "I've already killed him." Su Zimo said coldly, "Don't worry, I'll send you down to reunite with him right away." Fu. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley laughed. Good. How many years has it been since anyone dared to speak to me like that? To think that I would be threatened by a junior who has only ascended for less than 100 years today. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley stood up slowly and said coldly, "Su Zimo, given your talent and potential, if you were willing to hibernate obediently and cultivate to become a grade 8 black immortal, there's probably no one on the Dragon Abyss Star who can suppress you. However, you're still too young and sharp. You only cultivated to the level 6 Black Essence realm and yet you dare to come to Blood Sun Valley to challenge me. Today, I'll make you pay with your life for my son." The moment he said that, the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley slapped his storage bag and withdrew a gigantic halberd. Injecting essence chi, the halberd trembled and shone with 5 patterns. That halberd was a perfect black-grade dermic treasure. Su Zimo had a fearless expression as he strode towards the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley. His glabella shone and a bronze square tripod appeared, floating above his head. Kill! The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley leaped and gripped his halberd with both hands. Descending from the skies, he slashed down heavily towards Su Zimo who was approaching with a devouring aura. Kill! Su Zimo shouted at the same time. The word kill contained a powerful sound domain secret skill that reverberated through the palace like thunder. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was shocked. However, his blood chi surged and suppressed the impact of Thunderclap kill instantly. Shatter! The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley looked at the battered bronze square tripod above Su Zimo's head and his gaze turned cold as his strength increased once more. In his opinion, given how battered the tripod was, he would definitely be able to shatter it with a full-powered attack. Clang! Sparks flew when the halberd struck the bronze square tripod. The bronze square tripod did not budge at all. However, the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley felt a tremendous recoil and his entire arm went numb. Su Zimo's spirit consciousness moved. The bronze square tripod crossed the void and charged towards the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley without stopping. Clang! Another loud bang sounded. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley swung his halberd horizontally and blocked the bronze square tripod. However, he was forced to descend from midair. Swoosh! Su Zimo strode forward and transformed into a green shadow. His blood chi surged and the sound of a tsunami could be heard. He had to kill the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley today, and did not care if the bloodline of his Green Lotus true body was exposed. Su Zimo closed in swiftly to the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley and slapped the latter on the head. That palm was like a gigantic millstone that released a powerful crushing power. Great Chaos Essence Palm. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley raised his halberd and blocked once more. Bang! Su Zimo's palm slapped the halberd and it trembled slightly. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was shocked. He had long heard of Su Zimo's combat strength, powerful physique and many divine powers and secret skills. However, it was only today that he realized how terrifying Su Zimo's melee combat strength was. The halberd in his hands was nearly knocked down by Su Zimo's body. There was a difference of 2 minor realms between the two of them. However, the difference was completely erased against the Green Lotus true body with its exuberant blood chi. Not only that, the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was completely disadvantaged the moment the two of them exchanged blows and could not reverse the situation. Su Zimo controlled the bronze square tripod with his spirit consciousness and suppressed the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley continuously while fighting in melee combat. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley could not defend against it with his halberd and was forced to retreat in defeat. Crack! Su Zimo seized the opportunity and punched the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley in the chest, shattering the latter's heart-protecting mirror instantly. Buzz! After the heart-protecting mirror shattered, a powerful halo burst forth and repelled Su Zimo. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley retreated hurriedly and seized the opportunity to catch his breath with a grim expression. The two of them exchanged blows for dozens of breaths. However, he was already drenched in sweat and aching all over against Su Zimo's domineering attacks. Although he managed to defend against those rounds, the toll on him was way too great. On the other hand, Su Zimo's breathing was still steady and long after the battle and his face was rosy without any signs of fatigue. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley realized that he would definitely be killed by Su Zimo if this continued. Earlier on, he was saved because of his heart-protecting mirror. The next time, there would be no treasure that could defend against Su Zimo's attacks. A look of madness flashed through the eyes of the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley, and he had a menacing expression, as though he had already made an extremely important decision. Deranged Fiend Secret Skill. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley channeled his essence spirit and secret skill. He seemed to have transformed into a gigantic vortex that devoured heaven and earth essence chi wildly. His aura and power rose rapidly in a short period of time. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was at the peak of level 8 Black Essence Realm to begin with. Now that his strength was rising continuously without any signs of stopping, he had already broken through to the level 9 Black Essence Realm in a short period of time. Su Zimo frowned slightly. In the cultivation world, there were indeed some cultivation techniques and secret skills that could forcefully raise one's strength. However, secret skills that could allow one to break through a realm were extremely rare. Ha 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 ha. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was filled with rich heaven and earth essence chi. Sensing the immense power in his body, he reared his head in laughter. Su Zimo, this is a secret skill that I obtained by chance. This is my trump card. Prepare to die. Narrowing his gaze slightly, Su Zimo sensed for a moment and suddenly sneered. The disadvantage of this secret skill is way too obvious. As the power of the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley rose, his lifespan decreased rapidly as well. Initially, he was a middle-aged man with black hair. But now, in just a few breaths, his hair was white and his face was filled with wrinkles. From the looks of it, the lifespan of the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley might be less than 10,000 years. The lifespan of a black immortal was 100,000 years. With less than 10,000 years remaining, it meant that he was already in his twilight years. It was also because of the sacrifice of a large amount of lifespan that the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley could forcefully raise his cultivation realm and obtain a momentary powerful burst of strength. Even if he could kill Su Zimo today, he would never be able to make up for the lifespan he lost. Chapter 1869. Killing Blood Sunday. Chapter 1869. Killing Blood Sunday. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley knew very well the consequences of using the Deranged Fiend secret skill. However, he had no other choice. If he did not activate that secret skill, he would definitely die. Although his lifespan would decrease wildly by releasing that secret skill, he could raise his cultivation to the level 9 Black Essence realm and kill Su Zimo along the way. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was confident. He believed that no matter how much of a monster incarnate this young man was and how many trump cards he had, it would not be able to make up for the difference of 3 cultivation realms. Su Zimo had a calm expression. If he was in the lower world, he would be able to exhaust the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley's remaining lifespan in a few breaths as long as he released Baron. However, after ascending to the upper world, Baron could not fuse perfectly with Heaven and Earth Essence Chi. Furthermore, Time Like a Saber was a greater divine power that Su Zimo could not release given his current cultivation realm. Therefore, even against the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley who was in his twilight years, he could only fight him head-on without any tricks. Level 9 Black Essence Realm, very good. Su Zimo nodded with a fearless expression and a burning gaze. I was looking forward to testing the strength of a grade 9 Black Immortal. 6-Tusked Divine Elephant. Without hesitation, Su Zimo channeled his innate divine power. A pair of gigantic white elephant tusks grew slowly behind him. As the pair of elephant tusks grew, the power in Su Zimo's body rose wildly as well. In the blink of an eye, it doubled. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley's heart skipped a beat and he was shocked. After releasing that divine power, the aura released by Su Zimo could actually fight him without backing down. What was even more frightening was that this divine power did not have any drawbacks. Su Zimo's lifespan and blood chi showed no signs of deterioration. After releasing the 6-tusked divine elephant, Su Zimo's physical strength, blood chi and essence spirit increased. Although he had yet to break through to the level 7 Black Essence realm, he was extremely close. A 6-tusked divine elephant appeared behind Su Zimo and raised its trunk, roaring into the skies. Roar! Su Zimo let out a resounding roar that shook the world. His aura surged into the clouds and the bronze square tripod hovered above his head as he charged towards the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley. Kill! The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley grit his teeth and charged forward with bloodshot eyes. He no longer had a way out. Bang! 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 Clang! 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 The two of them collided violently and their fists and palms collided. The bronze square tripod collided with the halberd and sparks flew as shockwaves surged. With the release of blood chi by the Green Lotus True Body alongside the channeling of the 6-tusked Divine Elephant, Su Zimo could definitely negate 3 minor cultivation realms and fight against a grade 9 Black Immortal head-on. He was not disadvantaged in terms of strength. On the contrary, as time passed by, Su Zimo fought fiercer and fiercer. As for the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley, his heart skipped a beat. The reason why he released his secret skill and expended his lifespan to forcefully raise his cultivation realm was because he wanted to suppress Su Zimo as soon as possible. But now that the two of them were fighting again, it was difficult to determine the victor in a short period of time. His stamina and blood chi were far inferior to the Green Lotus True Body. Furthermore, he was already in his twilight years. Before long, The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley had already thrown away his armor. His hair was disheveled and he panted heavily, moving slower and slower. "Old dog, go down and reunite with your son." Su Zimo hollered and his blood chi surged, breaking through the limits of tsunami blood. A creation green lotus that connected heaven and earth appeared behind him. The entire palace could not withstand the power and began to collapse and sway. Bloodline phenomenon. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was shocked. The green lotus was jade green all over and its leaves were gigantic. Its stem was straight like an arrow that had left its body, and it blossomed with an endless glow, illuminating the entire world in an incomparably divine manner. "Form a blood sun with my essence blood." Gripping his halberd, the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley slashed his wrist viciously and fresh blood spewed. He chanted and released an immortal art, waving his injured wrist in front of him. Under the activation of that immortal art, blood gushed out from his wrist as though it was drawn out. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley turned pale rapidly. Instantly, he looked even older. That immortal art consumed close to half of his bloodline. Given his twilight years, losing so much of his bloodline was no different from committing suicide. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was a formidable figure on the Dragon Abyss Star after all. He was unwilling to surrender and wait for death. That was the reason why he sacrificed so much of his bloodline to condense this blood sun. This was his dying attack. Whether or not the blood sun could kill Su Zimo, he would not live for long. Su Zimo shook his head with an indifferent expression. Apart from Tianhuang mainland, the many minor kiliocosms of the other lower worlds had never heard of the creation Green Lotus. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley did not realize what he was facing. The creation Green Lotus swayed gently and the entire void trembled. Boom, boom, boom. The massive palace began to collapse and countless boulders fell. With that sway, a ripple seemed to spread through the void and swept past the blood sun not far away. Crack, crack, crack. Instantly, a few cracks appeared on the blood sun. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley's expression dimmed. The next moment, the blood sun shattered. Even if he exhausted his bloodline, he could not defend against the might of the creation Green Lotus. The ripples created by the swaying Green Lotus swept past the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley's body. The Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley froze and his essence spirit was destroyed in his consciousness, dying on the spot. Su Zimo's spirit consciousness moved and he put away the storage bag of the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley. In fact, he did not even look at the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley's corpse. Waving his sleeves, the Green Lotus phenomenon dissipated and he turned to leave. In the blink of an eye, the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley was buried by the palace he built. Blood Sun Valley. The defending army was severely injured by Su Zimo's Kacharati Dao fire and fled everywhere. Right now, the flames were gradually extinguishing. Many Blood Sun Valley cultivators managed to hold out until now when they saw the massive chamber of the Valley Master collapse not far away with dust billowing. Nobody witnessed the battle between Su Zimo and the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley personally. However, judging from the current situation, they could guess how intense it was. With the Valley Master around, Su Zimo won't be able to survive. Even if Su Zimo dies, it won't be able to make up for our losses. Some of the surviving Blood Sun Valley cultivators gathered and sighed. Look, that person. That person seems to be. Right then, a Blood Sun Valley cultivator pointed in the direction of the collapsed palace not far away with a fearful expression and a trembling voice. Everyone turned over. In the billowing dust, a black-haired, green-robed cultivator floated out and flew through the air. His body was spotless and his gaze was like lightning. He was like a divine being that had walked out of the ruins and could not be ignored. Chapter 1870. Reconstruction of Snow Wind Ridge. Chapter 1870. Reconstruction of Snow Wind Ridge. The moment they saw Su Zimo walk out of the collapsed palace, the cultivators of Blood Sun Valley realized that their Valley Master was most likely doomed. Blood Sun Valley was finished. This faction that had stood for many years on the Dragon Abyss Star had failed countless calamities. Nobody expected such a massive power to be severely injured in succession in just a few decades and end up in such a state. Blood Sun Valley was not destroyed in a fight between factions, but in the hands of a single person. If they had not experienced everything personally, no one would have imagined that this person was only a grade 6 black immortal who had ascended for less than 100 years. The remaining cultivators in Blood Sun Valley broke down mentally and did not dare to fight Xueqi at all. They fled in panic, hating themselves for not having more legs. Right then, Yu Hao and the others arrived at Blood Sun Valley with more than 1,000 cultivators from Sun Vanquishing Stronghold. When enemies meet, their eyes turn red. With Yu Hao's order, the army of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold roared and charged towards the defeated soldiers of Blood Sun Valley murderously. In reality, there were still thousands of cultivators that escaped from Blood Sun Valley. However, those people were completely afraid of Xueqi and no longer dared to fight against the cultivators of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold. They dispersed in utter defeat. There was no doubt about this battle. Yu Hao and the others were worried about Xueqi and did not follow the army to chase after everyone else. Instead, they charged into Blood Sun Valley. Flames surged into the skies of Blood Sun Valley. This former powerhouse of the Dragon Abyss Star was almost burned into ruins by the Kachurati Dao fire and corpses were strewn everywhere. Although it was only some remnant flames, Yu Hao and the others could feel a burning pain on their skin. Everyone looked up and saw a green-robed cultivator walking in the air not far away. The surrounding flames avoided him. It was Xueqi. "Brother Su, are you all right?" Yu Hao and the others hurried forward. Xueqi nodded gently. "Where's the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley?" At the mention of that person, Shen Fei clenched his fists with a hateful expression. "Dead," Xueqi said indifferently. Yu Hao and the other two had already vaguely guessed this outcome. However, the three of them still felt relieved when they heard that answer from Xueqi. The three of them carried hatred in their hearts and led the people of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold to wander around the Dragon Abyss Star without a permanent residence. All of that was so that they could destroy Blood Sun Valley and kill their enemies. However, over the years, the difference between them and Blood Sun Valley was still insurmountable. The three of them felt that the news was surreal. "Dead." Yu Hao lamented, "Blood Sun Valley is destroyed. Everyone from Sky Pillar Stronghold, Wind Cloud Gang and Honor Villa, if you guys know about it, you'll have no regrets." All the hatred and responsibility was placed on this man. All these years, he could barely breathe. In fact, he did not even dare to have a peaceful sleep, afraid that he would encounter danger and let the people of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold suffer. But now he felt relieved. Xueqi looked at Blood Sun Valley with a conflicted expression. Even though he killed the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley and destroyed it, he was not delighted at all. The people of Snow Wind Ridge were still dead in the end. Old Yen would not revive either. The human emperor and Dai Yu were not wrong. The upper world was even more cruel and cold-blooded than the lower world. This was only the most remote Dragon Abyss Star. What would happen if they entered the center of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and came into contact with the true cultivation world of the upper world? In 10 days, the news of Blood Sun Valley's destruction had already spread completely and countless factions were shocked. Blood Sun Valley was one of the 8 major factions of the Dragon Abyss Star. Even the 3 major factions of the past, Sky Pillar Stronghold, Wind Cloud Gang and Honor Villa, persisted for many years and were severely injured before being destroyed. Who would have thought that Blood Sun Valley would be removed from the Dragon Abyss Star in a single day? What's going on? I heard that Chen Xianyang led an army to attack Snow Wind Ridge and was about to take it down. Unexpectedly, Xueqi arrived with an army and defeated Chen Xianyang. Xueqi, it's him again! However, even if Chen Xianyang was defeated, the Valley Master of Blood Sun Valley is a grade 8 Black Immortal and has been famous for many years. How did he lose so badly? I heard from a cultivator who escaped from Blood Sun Valley that Xueqi was the one who charged into Blood Sun Valley alone to fight against the Valley Master. However, no one saw the exact situation of that battle. What exactly happened will probably remain a mystery forever. This Xueqi is truly terrifying. Every time he appears, he stirs up a storm. Given his strength and reputation, he's probably qualified to establish a new faction and replace Blood Sun Valley. For the past few days, almost everyone on the Dragon Abyss Star was discussing this matter. 10 days later, Snow Wind Ridge. Blood Sun Valley contained a large number of cultivation resources and treasures. With the destruction of Blood Sun Valley, all the cultivation resources and treasures were shifted to Snow Wind Ridge. Snow Wind Ridge had also entered the stage of Reconstruction. Under Xia Qingying's persuasion, Yu Hao and the others chose to stay in Snow Wind Ridge. The existence of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold was for revenge to begin with. But now that Blood Sun Valley was destroyed, no one resisted the integration of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold into Snow Wind Ridge. Snow Wind Ridge suffered immense losses and countless casualties in this battle. However, with the addition of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold and the massive resources of Blood Sun Valley, Snow Wind Ridge's strength increased significantly. Furthermore, over the past few days, many cultivators in the vicinity chose to join Snow Wind Ridge because of its reputation. The main hall of Snow Wind Ridge. Su Zimo, Yu Hao, Shen Fei, Gu Wenjun, Xia Qingying, Duan Tianliang and the others sat on both sides of the hall. At the top of the hall, the territorial lord's seat was still empty. For the past few days, many cultivators were busy rebuilding Snow Wind Ridge, accommodating cultivators, comforting spirit farmers and receiving resources from Blood Sun Valley. Now that Snow Wind Ridge was gradually on the right track, the position of territorial lord could not remain empty. Actually, everyone already had a candidate in mind. In everyone's opinion, this was the only person who was qualified and had the strength to become the territorial lord of Snow Wind Ridge and command a region to intimidate everyone. Xia Qingying coughed gently and stood up slowly. I called everyone here today because I want to confirm a candidate for the territorial lord position. The moment she said that, everyone's gaze landed on Su Zimo. Even Xia Qingying was the same. Xia Qingying smiled gently. Fellow Taoist Su, the position of the territorial lord belongs to you. I can't do it. Su Zimo shook his head indifferently. Brother Su, you're the only one who can convince the masses as the territorial lord. None of us have any objections. Yu Hao added hurriedly. Gu Wenjun nodded. That's right, Brother Su. Almost all the cultivators who joined Snow Wind Ridge these days were because of your reputation. There's no need to mention this again. Su Zimo said, I'll stay in Snow Wind Ridge for a period of time. However, you'll have to choose someone else as the territorial lord. Given his cultivation speed, he would leave the Dragon Abyss Star before long. Su Zimo did not want to leave too much karma on the Dragon Abyss Star, and did not want to bring unnecessary trouble to everyone from Snow Wind Ridge because of him. Chapter 1871. Change on the Dragon Abyss Star. Chapter 1871. Change on the Dragon Abyss Star. When everyone saw Su Zimo's resolute attitude, they could not persuade him further. Yu Hao thought for a moment and looked at Xia Qingying opposite him. Since that's the case, Qingying should be the territorial lord. After all, this is your territory and you're the most familiar with it. I can't do it. Xia Qingying shook her head gently and smiled. My cultivation realm is too low and isn't enough to convince the masses. Not everyone on the Dragon Abyss Star cultivated at such a terrifying speed like Su Zimo. After 60 years, Xia Qingying's cultivation was still at the level 4 Black Essence realm. Xia Qingying pondered for a moment. Brother Yu is a grade 7 Black Immortal. The strength of Sun Vanquishing Stronghold is stronger than Snow Wind Ridge to begin with. Right now, they're fused into Snow Wind Ridge. Apart from fellow Taoist Su, Brother Yu is probably the only one qualified to be the territorial lord. Yu Hao waved it off hurriedly and was about to decline. At the side, Shen Fei could not help but say, all right. Why are the two of you declining? It's the same no matter who it is. Sooner or later. Cough, cough. Shen Fei did not continue, clearly implying something as he looked at Yu Hao and Xia Qingying mockingly. Yu Hao and Xia Qingying exchanged glances and averted their gazes hurriedly. Xia Qingying blushed slightly and was relatively calm. However, Yu Hao blushed and rubbed his hands, not knowing what to do. Gu Wenjun could not help but cover her mouth and chuckle when she saw her brother like that. A look of realization flashed through Su Zimo's eyes when he saw that. To think that Yu Hao and Xia Qingying would have such an affinity. It was rare. Xia Qingying was kind-hearted and had just experienced the pain of losing her father. It was rare for her to find someone who could stay by her side. During this period of time, Yu Hao was also proven to be an upright and righteous man. The two of them were rather compatible. Su Zimo smiled gently. Since that's the case, Yu Hao will be the territorial lord of Snow Wind Ridge. If you have any questions, ask Xia Qingying. Shen Fei and the others agreed immediately. When Yu Hao heard Su Zimo's words, he did not decline further. He stood up and cupped his fists towards Xia Qingying, bowing. Fellow Taoist Qingying, if there's anything wrong in the future, feel free to tell me. I'll definitely change. Xia Qingying nodded and lowered her head. It was clear that the relationship between them was not yet official, and was in an ambiguous state that was the most beautiful. Su Zimo smiled and left without lingering in the hall. Shen Fei and the others realized something as well and left with smiles, leaving Yu Hao and Xia Qingying in the hall. For the next period of time, Su Zimo did not continue cultivating. Instead, he took out the turtle shell he obtained from Dragon Abyss City and comprehended it. There was an array formation recorded on the turtle shells. The complicated patterns on it were actually formation patterns. As time passed by, Snow Wind Ridge was rebuilt and grew stronger. There were even some small factions in the surroundings who chose to join Snow Wind Ridge to obtain protection. However, Su Zimo, Yu Hao and the others knew that the crisis of Snow Wind Ridge had not truly passed. Snow Wind Ridge was still facing at least two immense threats: the Evil Wolf Army and the Goshawk Gang. Back then, these two bandit groups were the ones who destroyed the three major factions: Sky Pillar Stronghold, Wind Cloud Gang and Honor Villa. Now that Snow Wind Ridge was rebuilt and Blood Sun Valley was destroyed, the two bandit groups had an extremely close relationship with Blood Sun Valley and would definitely not let things go. For the next year, Snow Wind Ridge was extremely guarded and did not dare to relax at all. Perhaps out of fear of Su Zimo's reputation, the two bandit groups had not made any moves for the past year. However, everyone from Snow Wind Ridge knew that the two bandit groups must be waiting for an opportunity. As long as they seized this opportunity, the two bandit groups would definitely make a move and take revenge on Snow Wind Ridge. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 years had passed since Blood Sun Valley was destroyed. After 10 years of development, Snow Wind Ridge grew rapidly. Right now, there were more than 10,000 guards in Snow Wind Ridge alone. Although it could not compare to Blood Sun Valley back then, because of the reputation of the battle 10 years ago, many cultivators had already listed Snow Wind Ridge as one of the 8 major factions of the Dragon Abyss Star. For the past 10 years, Su Zimo spent most of his time cultivating in seclusion. After breaking through to the level 6 Black Essence realm, he could clearly sense that the absorption of Heaven and Earth Essence Chi by the Green Lotus True Body was increasing. If he wanted to raise a realm, the number of Essence Condensation pills he required would increase exponentially and the time he would require would increase as well. Although he had consumed a large number of Essence Condensation pills during his 10 years of cultivation, the increase in his cultivation was not obvious. Although the Green Lotus True Body was strong, the cultivation resources required were extremely terrifying as well. The creation Green Lotus was unique and there was only one in the world. Throughout history, not many people had seen a grade 12 creation Green Lotus. That was because the conditions for the creation Green Lotus to grow became increasingly stringent towards the end. This day, Su Zimo sensed something and jolted awake from his seclusion. Su Zimo walked out of his cave abode and looked in the direction of the desolate lands, frowning slightly. "Boss, you're out of seclusion." All these years, Duan Tianliang had been guarding the entrance of Su Zimo's cave abode and did not allow anyone to approach. It was not because he was loyal, but because the Heaven and Earth Essence Chi at the entrance of the cave abode was extremely rich and his cultivation speed had advanced by leaps and bounds. "What happened?" Duan Tianliang asked carefully when he saw Su Zimo's strange expression. Su Zimo shook his head and did not explain. Earlier on, he could vaguely sense an unusual energy fluctuation in the depths of the desolate lands that was extremely terrifying. The energy fluctuation had even surpassed the Black Essence realm. Logically speaking, a power of this level should not have appeared on the Dragon Abyss Star. How could that be? Just as Su Zimo was pondering, a bedazzling divine light burst forth from the distant skies. It shone with an endless glow that surged into the clouds, tore through the firmaments and crossed the void. This time round, most of the cultivators and living beings on the Dragon Abyss Star witnessed such a shocking scene, let alone Su Zimo. What treasure has appeared? From the looks of it, it seems to be from the desolate land. Let's go take a look. The divine light attracted the attention of countless cultivators and they moved one after another, prepared to check things out. For many cultivators, this was an opportunity. If they could grasp it, they might be able to advance by leaps and bounds and eventually leave the Dragon Abyss Star. Right then, Yu Hao, Xia Qingying and the others rushed over. Brother Su, what's going on? Yu Hao asked. Su Zimo shook his head. I'm not sure either. You guys guard Snow Wind Ridge. I'll go take a look. Fellow Taoist Su, you have to be careful. Xia Qingying said hurriedly. The location of that divine light should be in the depths of the desolate lands. Any cultivator that dares to venture deep would have to be at least a grade 7 or 8 black immortal. I reckon that even the native exalted immortals of Dragon Abyss City might want to check it out. You must be careful not to get into a conflict with them. Chapter 1872. Gathering of Experts. Chapter 1872. Gathering of Experts. 3 days later. Arriving at the desolate lands, Su Zimo found the silver giant and obtained some information. It was said that in the depths of these desolate lands, there was an endless abyss that spanned more than half of the Dragon Abyss Star like a divine dragon. The abyss was shrouded by black fog all year round and possessed an extremely terrifying power. Once black immortals entered the black fog, their essence chi would be devoured and they would turn into dried corpses. Therefore, although the abyss had existed for a long time, no one explored it. The divine light 3 days ago burst forth from this abyss. Because of that divine light, the black fog in the abyss was purged. All the living beings could guess that there were definitely treasures and opportunities in this abyss. Now that the black fog had dispersed, it was a rare opportunity. For the past 3 days, the living beings in the desolate lands had become restless as well. The 3 ferocious beasts, the gigantic bee, 9-headed bird and Ing Zhao, headed to the abyss to investigate as well. Why didn't you go? Su Zimo looked at the silver giant and asked. The silver giant was honest as well. Given the huge commotion this time round, I reckon that experts must be gathered in that abyss. Perhaps even experts from outside the Dragon Abyss Star will arrive. An opportunity as such will definitely not be mine. The moment he said that, Su Zimo sensed something and looked up. Outside the Dragon Abyss Star, a dark golden light was approaching rapidly. Before long, the dark golden light appeared and sped through the Dragon Abyss Star towards the depths of the desolate lands. Su Zimo could clearly see that the dark golden light was a gigantic ship. It was dozens of feet long and 7 levels tall. Just from its appearance, it was extremely exquisite and ethereal. There were many mysterious and complicated patterns etched around the ship that shone with a divine light, forming an almost transparent barrier that enveloped the spirit vessel. On the Dragon Abyss Star, due to the suppression of the laws of the upper world, even a grade 9 black immortal could only soar 90 feet into the air. As for the ship, it sailed hundreds of feet in the air and swept past the heads of Su Zimo and the other demons with a huge shadow. More than 10 figures stood on the spirit vessel. The gazes of those cultivators swept past Su Zimo and the others below with indifferent expressions, as though they were looking at a group of ants. Su Zimo was secretly alarmed. From the looks of it, the silver giant was not wrong. The divine light that burst forth from the abyss had already alarmed the experts outside the Dragon Abyss Star. Given the grandeur of the ship, the people standing on it were probably all experts of the Earth Essence realm. Although the ship seemed to be moving slowly, it disappeared from Su Zimo's line of sight before long. Su Zimo went deep into thought. He had heard from others that even Earth Essence realm experts could not travel through the starry skies. They could only do that after cultivating to the Heaven Essence realm. As for the ship he saw earlier on, there were many mysterious patterns etched on it, forming a barrier that seemed to be able to protect the cultivators on the ship and allow them to travel through the starry skies freely. Even experts outside the Dragon Abyss Star were alarmed. Even if there were any treasures in the abyss, it would not be easy to obtain them. After pondering for a moment, Su Zimo decided to explore the abyss still. Suddenly, He thought of something. It was probably not a coincidence that he escaped death from the black hole dozens of years ago and fell onto this star. Back then, the reason why he could escape from the black hole was because of the divine dragon that awakened on the outer wall of the bronze square tripod. Coincidentally, this star was also known as the Dragon Abyss Star. Su Zimo continued heading deeper into the desolate lands. 10 days later. He had just arrived at the outer perimeter of the abyss and stopped in his tracks with a grim expression. Over the past few days, countless experts outside the Dragon Abyss Star had descended here. Some of them rode on flying ships and every single cultivator emitted an extremely powerful aura. Compared to those experts, the black immortals on the Dragon Abyss Star were as weak as ants. Some cultivators were even more terrifying. Su Zimo witnessed a long-haired man in blood-stained armor speeding over from the depths of the starry skies in a war chariot led by a 9-headed WYRM. The 9-headed WYRM was dozens of feet long and roared with a menacing expression. The aura released by each head was even more terrifying than most cultivators who came down from the ships. One could imagine the strength of the man on the war chariot. He rode on the war chariot and almost crushed the starry skies in an unstoppable manner. Anyone who could travel through the starry skies freely was a heaven immortal expert. Gulping, Su Zimo retracted his gaze and did not dare to look for too long. Although his spirit consciousness far surpassed his peers, he did not dare to scan those cultivators. That was because he personally witnessed the man on the war chariot killing a cultivator who came down from a ship because the latter wanted to check the man's cultivation realm with his spirit consciousness out of curiosity. How dare a puny earth immortal probe my background? You must have a death wish. The man on the war chariot sneered. Heaven immortal Luo Yang. You sure are impressive. What's so great about killing an earth immortal? Not far away, a coquettish and charming woman rode on a colorful auspicious cloud and floated over. She looked at the man on the war chariot and chuckled. He was indeed a heaven immortal. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. To think that the divine light released by the Dragon Abyss Star would attract a heaven immortal expert. Humph. Heaven immortal Luo Yang glanced at the coquettish woman with a wary expression. Meiji, you don't have to interfere in my matters. Now that this opportunity has appeared, we'll both have to depend on our individual capabilities. With that said, Heaven immortal Luo Yang rode his war chariot into the abyss. Hee, coward. The coquettish woman laughed. We're going to meet again in the heaven ranking competition. You won't be able to avoid it. As she said that, she rode on her auspicious cloud and entered the abyss as well. Su Zimo stood far away in the abyss, frowning. The commotion this time round was way too great. Any of the cultivators that were flying in the air could kill him. There were many other black immortals like him in the surroundings. All of them had grim expressions and did not dare to act rashly or advance as they watched from afar. Su Zimo caught sight of cultivators of the 8 factions in the nearby crowd. Although opportunities were tempting, it would not be worth it if they lost their lives. Before they could see any true treasures, many cultivators had already died in the abyss. Su Zimo waited patiently outside the abyss for a long time. He was only prepared to move after almost all the foreign experts had entered the abyss. Suddenly, the abyss shone brightly. Immediately after, rays of light burst forth from the divine radiance and spilled everywhere. A jade green light was charging in Su Zimo's direction. Su Zimo focused his gaze. The green light was a jade dagger that was extremely exquisite and had not worn out even after countless years. Chapter 1873. Immortal Couples. Chapter 1873. Immortal Couple. Su Zimo reached out and received the jade dagger. The moment his palm touched the edge of the jade dagger, he felt a sharp pain and a wound appeared on his palm. Impressive. Su Zimo thought to himself. Although he was a grade 6 black immortal, the defense of this green lotus true body was extremely strong. It was invulnerable to fire, water and weapons. Even a connate black grade dermic treasure might not be able to hurt him. To think that his palm would be injured just by touching the jade dagger gently. The dagger was at least an earth grade dermic treasure and its quality was definitely not low. In that case, There was a high chance that the divine lights that burst forth from the abyss were all such divine weapons. Xueqi looked around. On both sides of the abyss, there were some cultivators who had yet to enter the abyss. Like him, they picked up various dermic treasures and checked them briefly before looking delighted, as though they had obtained an utmost treasure. Just as Xueqi was about to put away the jade dagger, a warning flashed in his mind. A shuddering sharpness arrived instantly and stabbed towards the back of his head. Before it truly arrived, he felt a sharp pain on his scalp. Not good. The attacker's methods were extremely sharp and decisive. Even if he released other movement divine powers, it would be difficult for him to avoid this fatal killing move. Without hesitation, Xueqi channeled his essence spirit and released the true Dragon 9 flashes. Swish! In a flash, Xueqi vanished from the spot. By the time Xueqi reappeared, he was not far away and looked towards where he was initially. A cultivator stood there. Although he was skinny and had shifty eyes, he exuded an extremely powerful aura. That aura had far surpassed the Black Essence realm. Earth Immortal. A look of surprise flashed through the skinny Earth Immortal's eyes when he missed. He had not expected that his sneak attack on a grade 6 Black Immortal would fail. Furthermore, he did not even see how the grade 6 Black Immortal escaped from his killing move. Interesting. The skinny Earth Immortal turned around and glared at Xueqi, who was not far away. He extended his palm and chuckled. Hand over that dagger. A grade 6 Black Immortal like you is not worthy of possessing such a divine weapon. Frowning slightly, Xueqi hesitated for a moment before tossing the jade dagger he had just obtained over. The difference between them was too great. Even if he used all his trump cards, he had no chance of winning. In front of an Earth Immortal expert, it would be difficult for him to escape even if he released the extreme speed divine power of the Golden Rock. There was no need for him to offend this person over a dermic treasure. Furthermore, there were many people here. There was no benefit for him to have a conflict with this Earth Immortal. You're wise. The skinny Earth Immortal received the jade dagger and took a look. With a delighted expression, he flipped his palm and kept the jade dagger. Xueqi retreated into the distance after tossing the jade dagger over. Hold on. The skinny Earth Immortal swayed and was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he blocked Xueqi's path and sneered, "Who allowed you to leave?" Exalted Immortal, there are even greater opportunities in the abyss. There's no need for you to waste your time on a Black Immortal like me. Xueqi's heart sank, but he tried his best to remain calm. Humph. The skinny Earth Immortal smirked and released a tremendous spirit consciousness pressure that enveloped Xueqi as he asked coldly, "What technique did you use to dodge my attack earlier on?" Xueqi felt as though he had fallen into a swamp and was under immense pressure. The difference in strength between the two of them was way too great. Xueqi's expression was cold and he said nothing. "It's fine if you don't say it. I'll search your soul and take a look personally." The skinny Earth Immortal's eyes shone fiercely as he reached out and grabbed the top of Xueqi's head. Against the might of the Earth Immortal's spirit consciousness, Xueqi had to circulate his blood chi and release all his trump cards if he wanted to break free. However, that would expose the Green Lotus true body. Furthermore, even if he used all his trump cards, it would be difficult for him to escape from an Earth Immortal. "Fellow Taoist, aren't you going overboard?" Right then, a gentle voice sounded in midair not far away. Immediately after, an even stronger spirit consciousness barged in and negated the skinny Earth Immortal's spirit consciousness. At the same time, the Heaven and Earth Essence Chi in front of Xueqi fluctuated violently. In a short period of time, an Essence Chi blade was formed and slashed towards the skinny Earth Immortal. The skinny Earth Immortal had a grim expression and a hint of fear flashed through his eyes, as though he did not dare to take it head-on. He retreated hurriedly and shouted softly, "Who is it?" Having escaped death, Xueqi looked over as well. Two figures stood in midair, a man and a woman. The man had a mighty figure and his long hair draped over his shoulders. He was rather handsome, but the most attractive thing was his deep and melancholic eyes, as though he had seen through the vicissitudes of life. The woman had peerless features and skin that was fairer than snow. Her eyes were like water and her fingers were slender. She had a refined bearing and exuded an otherworldly aura. Both of them wore white robes that were spotless. Standing together, They looked like an ethereal immortal couple. Who are you guys? The skinny Earth Immortal frowned slightly. The melancholic man smiled. Fellow Taoist, this black immortal has already handed that dagger to you. Why are you trying to kill him? Humph. The skinny Earth Immortal sneered. So what if I want to kill him? A black immortal of the lower world is like an ant. So what if I trample him to death? Let me advise the two of you to mind your own business and not get yourself killed. As he said that, the skinny Earth Immortal touched the badge on his waist casually. The melancholic man had an indifferent expression. Four Corner Island is merely a black-grade sect. It's nothing much in the great Gene Immortal Kingdom. The badge on the skinny Earth Immortal's waist was the sect badge of Four Corner Island. Initially, he wanted to use his sect's name to intimidate the two of them. To think that the melancholic man was unmoved. The skinny Earth Immortal was indignant. He hesitated for a moment and glared at Su Zimo before turning to leave, entering the abyss before long. Su Zimo heaved out a sigh of relief. Arriving before the couple, he bowed and cupped his fists in thanks. Thank you for your help, exalted immortals. I won't forget your life-saving grace. How should I address you? It's nothing much. The melancholic man nodded slightly without saying anything. Although it was nothing much, apart from the two of them, no one else would offend the skinny Earth Immortal because of a black immortal like Su Zimo. The white-dressed woman looked at Su Zimo and asked, Are you also here in the abyss to search for opportunities? That's right. I'm here to try my luck. Su Zimo did not hide anything. The white-dressed woman said, This abyss is extraordinary and alarmed many experts. Along the way, we encountered a few paragons on the Earth ranking alone. There are also some Heaven Immortal experts. The melancholic man continued with a grim expression. The white-dressed woman said gently, Given your cultivation, you'll most likely die in the abyss. You should be careful. Although the white-dressed woman did not say it explicitly, she was reminding Su Zimo not to take the risk. Thank you for your reminder, exalted immortals. Su Zimo expressed his thanks once more. The melancholic man and white-dressed woman nodded to Su Zimo before turning to leave, disappearing into the abyss without leaving any names. Chapter 1874. Terrifying Black Mist. Chapter 1874. Terrifying Black Mist. The number of cultivators outside the abyss decreased and most of them had already leaped into it. Su Zimo pondered for a moment and did not leave. When he arrived at the edge of the abyss, the bronze square tripod trembled slightly, as though it was extremely excited. This had never happened before. Even when he obtained the spirit treasure fragment at the night marketplace in Dragon Abyss City, the bronze square tripod merely shuddered and did not have much of a reaction. To Su Zimo, the bronze square tripod had long gained sentience. There was definitely a reason for the bronze square tripod's reaction. At that thought, Su Zimo arrived at the edge of the abyss and looked down. He controlled his body and descended carefully. Before long, a strange feeling rose in Su Zimo's heart. It was as though he had passed through a barrier that was like water and arrived at a dimension that was completely different from the Dragon Abyss star. Su Zimo paused for a moment and continued sinking. A long time later, he arrived at the bottom of the abyss. There was a sinister aura at the bottom of the abyss. It was barren and lifeless with some white bones scattered around. Su Zimo surveyed his surroundings and did not discover anything unusual. However, for some reason, he felt his heart skip a beat after descending, as though a calamity was about to descend. Su Zimo focused his attention and walked towards the front of the abyss where the divine light came from. Along the way, he saw many black immortals with different cultivation realms. Unlike Su Zimo, the black immortals were excited. Some of them had just obtained dermic treasures that burst forth from the divine light and their trip was not wasted. However, most of the black immortals were unwilling to leave just like that and wanted to continue forward to search for other opportunities. After walking for a while more, Su Zimo suddenly stopped in his tracks. Right then, the divine light at the end of the abyss vanished rapidly and the light retracted. The entire abyss fell into darkness in a short period of time. What's going on? Could someone have already obtained that utmost treasure? Even if someone obtains it, there will definitely be a bloody battle. The ultimate ownership of the treasure is still unknown. A cultivator not far away whispered. There's truly something strange about this abyss. A grade 7 black immortal said, logically speaking, given our cultivation, our vision won't be affected even in the darkness. However, my vision and spirit consciousness are greatly restricted after entering the abyss. Me too. The person who spoke was a grade 8 black immortal. The black immortals continued forward in the darkness. However, Xueqi had a grim expression as he glared ahead motionlessly. He was the Green Lotus True Body. Although his vision was greatly restricted in the abyss, it was much stronger than other black immortals. He could clearly see a large black fog surging over from the front of the abyss like a tide. Some black immortals not far away had yet to notice this. It was said that there was a mysterious black fog in this abyss all year round and no living being on the Dragon Abyss star could approach it. It was only because of the divine light that burst forth from the abyss recently that the mysterious black fog was dispelled. Now that the divine light was gone, the mysterious black fog enveloped everything once more. Just as Xueqi was about to remind them, a tragic cry sounded from the black fog ahead. Ah! Xueqi's pupil constricted instantly. A grade 7 black immortal fell into the black fog and fell stiffly without any life within 2 breaths. Ah, what's that? This is bad. The black fog is here. Hurry and escape. The black immortals in the abyss were in chaos and wanted to escape from the range of the mysterious black fog, but they could not. Black fog surged above the heads of many black immortals as well. Some black immortals had just soared into the air when they smashed into the black fog and fell as corpses. On the other hand, Xueqi saw some Earth immortal experts releasing their spirit consciousnesses and divine powers to travel through the black fog. That was the difference in cultivation. The mysterious black fog could kill black immortals with ease, but it could not injure Earth immortals. Foo-foo. An Earth immortal expert swept past the heads of many black immortals and sneered. How dare a bunch of ants come here with such a low cultivation realm? They truly don't know what's good for them. Xueqi retreated rapidly with a wary expression. Although the Green Lotus True Body was strong, he did not dare to take the risk to come into contact with the black fog. However, he was forced to stop after taking a few steps. Behind him, a large amount of mysterious black fog shrouded over as well. There was nowhere to run. Initially, there were many black immortals shouting around him. However, in that short period of time, the surroundings were dead silent. All the black immortals in the vicinity died in the mysterious black fog. Xueqi did not dare to hesitate when he saw the black fog surging over. He channeled his blood chi and green rays of light shone around him. However, the green glow merely caused the surrounding black fog to pause for a moment. The mysterious black fog enveloped him rapidly once more. The green glow dimmed rapidly in the black fog as well. The mysterious black fog exuded a rotting aura of death and was extremely terrifying. Xueqi channeled his essence spirit and conjured the Samadhi Dao fire that circled around him. The Samadhi Dao fire burned and refined evil without fail. However, the 3 balls of flames were extinguished the moment they were touched by the black fog. Xueqi was alarmed. He released the Heaven-slaying sword art, Earth-slaying sword art and many divine powers and secret skills in one go, wanting to defend against the corrosion of the mysterious black fog. However, those trump cards merely delayed things slightly. Before long, the black fog enveloped him once more. Xueqi waved his sleeves and released the 9 heavens living soil. Yellow sand surged and shone with a golden light, forming a barrier around him. The 9 heavens living soil was indeed extraordinary. The black fog enveloped him but could not corrode the golden light on the yellow sand. However, much of the black fog seeped in through the gaps in the yellow sand and coiled towards Xueqi. Xueqi lamented internally. He had not expected that he would be forced into a corner by the mysterious black fog before he even encountered any opportunities or treasures. Although he had already released all his trump cards, he could not defend against the terrifying corrosive power of the mysterious black fog. Am I really going to die here today? Xueqi gripped his fist gently. This would truly be a wrongful death in his opinion. Xueqi was indignant and had a menacing expression. His eyes shone with a divine light as he suddenly roared at the surrounding black fog. It was like a dragon roar and phoenix cry that contained a supreme will. Suddenly, as though they sensed something, the mysterious black fog in the surroundings paused in front of Su Zimo before dissipating. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.